Previously in chapters 1561 to 1580, following his reunion with Qing Shui, the arc reaches a high emotional and power peak. Celestial Lord Qing Shui successfully breaks the Void Gate, reaching the third step through his perfected slaughter essence. In a display of brotherhood, he gifts Wang Lin a slaughter essence sword, a rare essence treasure that will assist Wang Lin's future breakthrough. Simultaneously, Wang Lin executes a brilliant rescue of Master Hong Shan, extracting him from a Dao fruit seal in the Summoned River's seven-colored realm, and effectively ending the Outer Realm and Appo's occupation of the star system. Returning to his roots on planet Suzaku, Wang Lin experiences a deeply melancholic homecoming, paying respects to his parents and Appo's grave. This journey yields a critical strategic asset, the Li Guang arrow. Hidden within the Tattoo clan's 19th layer, the arrow's fusion of ancient and celestial energy allows Wang Lin to finally possess a functional weapon of cosmic destruction, which he reinforces with the souls of captured third-step experts. The narrative shifts abruptly as the Outer Realm's Sovereign Council, fearing Wang Lin's meteoric rise, collaborates to create a death calamity trap. Using multiple arcane void experts and imperial concubines, they isolate Wang Lin in a mirrored blue world, Here Dao Master Blue Dream warns him of the impending execution. Wang Lin is immediately ambushed by three spirit void powerhouses, a gray-robed man, a black-robed woman, and a white-robed swordsman. Despite being severely injured and plagued by the internal rejection force of his dual bloodlines, Wang Lin stops suppressing his power. He erupts with pure golden celestial energy shocking his attackers who recognize the noble bloodline. Using the sacrifice of his ancient god Gauntlet's shadow to buy time, he prepares to unleash the authentic Golden War spirit print and the realm-burning umbrella, turning a desperate survival struggle into a fierce display of his new. The moment the ancient umbrella appeared, monstrous realm-burning fire appeared in the sky and rapidly plummeted downward. Before this fire, the world became distorted. It was as if everything had become fragmented and was going to be torn apart. Dense smoke appeared and roared with the fire. The expressions of those three changed greatly. With this monstrous fire incoming, they wouldn't have time to kill Wang Lin, so they quickly retreated. The appearance of this fire umbrella made them feel like they were in a life and death crisis. Although they were only here as projections and their original bodies wouldn't die if they died here, if their projections died, they would be seriously injured and would need time to recover. At this moment, the three of them retreated in fear. Lord of the Sealed Realm. This person is indeed worthy of being the Lord of the Sealed Realm. He is able to use a realm destruction spell with his current cultivation level. The gray-robed old man's expression changed greatly. The previous Lord of the Sealed Realm was extremely difficult to kill. I didn't expect this generation to be the same. The old woman in black took a deep breath and looked at Wang Lin with powerful killing intent. However, she rapidly retreated. The realm-burning umbrella was a spell that shouldn't belong in this world. Wang Lin also hadn't fully comprehended it, so the amount of vitality consumed was incredibly large. The sea of fire that came out from the umbrella came from his life force, so his face rapidly aged. However, the coldness in his eyes didn't decrease but became stronger. You want to escape? Do you think you can escape? If you want to kill me, you haven't paid enough of a price. Wang Lin let out a roar, and even more of this life force was sacrificed for the ancient umbrella. The realm-burning fire became even stronger, and then turned a big mouth that devoured everything before it. The man in white was deathly pale, and as he retreated, he clenched his teeth and hit his forehead. A snowflake mark appeared on his forehead. The moment this mark appeared, a chilling aura appeared in this world and resisted the sea of fire. At the same time, the man reached at his mark and pulled it out. He threw it at the ancient umbrella that was releasing large amounts of fire. With this old man's life force as Tao, with the soul of ice and snow as heaven, with the coldness as the catalyst eternal ice, the man in white clearly had a higher standing than the other two. He was someone who was just below the five masters of the ancient star system. The world changed colors when he attacked. In this well-like world, as the cold aura spread, cracking sounds came from the surface of the water. The coldness increased and the ice spread in all directions. In the blink of an eye, ice covered a boundless area. The large amount of ice emitted wisps of cold energy that confronted the sea of fire, making the entire world tremble. A snowflake mark 100 feet wide appeared in the sky where the ancient umbrella was. The sky rumbled and then was completely frozen. The sky was frozen. The earth was frozen. Snowflakes appeared in this world. As the man roared and pointed with his right hand, all the snowflakes in the world rushed toward the ancient umbrella. All the white snowflakes moved to form a storm around the ancient umbrella. The ancient umbrella was covered in fire, so the snowflakes melted rapidly. Then the melted snow fell like rain. At this instant, endless coldness came from the frozen water and fused with the coldness coming from the sky. This coldness shot toward the ancient umbrella. Cracking sounds echoed and the fire from the ancient umbrella was frozen. Even the ancient umbrella itself became an ice sculpture. Countless icicles formed from the melted soul under the ancient umbrella. They gave off endless amounts of cold light. Countless icicles came from the sky and earth to connect with the frozen ancient umbrella. It was a shocking sight. The man let out a big breath and the two people retreating also stopped. However, at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he pointed at the frozen ancient umbrella. After sacrificing a large amount of his life force, muffled rumbles came from the umbrella. The middle-aged man's expression changed once more, and he retreated with terror in his eyes. The other two that had stopped also quickly retreated, their scalps tingling. The sea of fire inside the ice rushed out and the ice collapsed. The first to collapse were the icicles connected to the sky, then came the icicles connected to the earth. Finally, the ice around the ancient umbrella collapsed and was scattered in all directions. Killing intent flooded Wang Lin's eyes and he pointed at the escaping old woman. As he pointed, a portion of the sea of fire that had collided with the ice separated and shot toward the old woman. Her face turned pale and her hand formed a seal. However, her body was instantly devoured by fire and her scream echoed. After the fire swept by, her projection body collapsed. The moment she was killed by the realm-burning umbrella, in the eternal floating palace in the ancient star system, there were several people sitting next to the well inside the hall. One of them was the old woman. She suddenly opened her eyes and coughed out a mouthful of blood. She stared at the well before her. This well showed the world Wang Lin was in. After a long time, the old woman raised her head and looked into the depths of the hall. "Give me an explanation." "It's not the time. This child has something in his hand." An old voice came from within the depths of the hall. The old woman silently pondered. She no longer spoke and her gaze looked at the world inside the well. The fire inside the well spread out. After killing the old woman in black, it surged forward as Wang Lin pointed. The fire divided into two, racing toward the gray-robed old man and the man in white. These two masses of fire were like fire dragons, and one of them got close to the gray-robed old man. His expression changed and his hands formed a seal before hitting his forehead. A large amount of yellow light appeared and turned into layers of earth around him. The sea of fire arrived and devoured him. Thunderous rumbles echoed until the sea of fire left, leaving a giant ball of earth. Cracking sounds echoed and then the ball of earth collapsed, revealing the old man inside. The old man coughed out a large amount of blood and looked dispirited. He was seriously injured but hadn't died. He looked at the sea of fire and revealed a bitter smile. His right hand took out a jade and crushed it. His body dissipated just as the sea of fire was about to devour him. Although he had coughed out blood, it was only an illusion, so even though he had coughed it out, there was no trace of it. In the hall in the ancient star system, there was a gray-robed old man sitting next to the old woman. At this moment, he opened his eyes and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He bitterly shook his head. "We've underestimated him." In the well world, the last fire from the ancient umbrella swept over the man in white. He was covered in a large amount of ice, and as the fire swept by, large amounts of ice melted and reformed around him. He was knocked back and stopped hundreds of feet away. As the layers of ice around him reformed, they formed a seal that trapped the fire. Wang Lin's face had aged greatly. He had sacrificed too much life force with this use of the realm-burning umbrella. Otherwise, it wouldn't have had this much power. The rejection force inside him made his entire body tremble. At this moment, as his life force weakened, the ancient umbrella no longer had the power it had before and slowly dissipated. Killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He no longer considered if he could survive this life and death calamity. So what if I die? I'm already sick of cultivating. Killing a few more before I go is enough. Wang Lin's hair was disheveled and he was going all out. He charged toward the man in the ice. He was going to kill. However, just as Wang Lin closed in on the man in white, his pupils shrank and he suddenly looked up. A person silently walked out from the void above the man inside the ice. This person was a woman who had a blurry figure, but her eyes revealed coldness. She raised her jade-like hand, stretched out her fingers and pressed toward Wang Lin. 5 burials celestial Tao. First are the kidneys. Kidneys decay to injure. The woman's voice was soft, but as she spoke, her pinky bent and touched her palm. Wang Lin's body trembled. He faintly felt a strange force surround the world. As the strange force spread out, his kidneys gave off a burst of indescribable pain. Wang Lin coughed out blood and subconsciously retrated. If his body was transparent, you would see his kidneys rapidly withering. Not even his ancient god body's recovery rate could heal it. When he retreated the 3rd step, his 2 kidneys rapidly withered into a pool of blood and disappeared from his body. Under this intense pain, Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot and his body trembled. However, the killing intent in his eyes reached a peak thanks to this pain. The second is the lung. The lung dies as the end. As the woman spoke, the ring finger bent to touch her palm. The third is the spleen. The spleen breaks to rot. After the ring finger, her middle finger bent to touch her palm. The fourth is the liver. Liver, melt and shatter. The woman's index finger bent to touch her palm. Her words were gentle, but they were filled with cruel killing intent. Wang Lin continuously coughed out several mouthfuls of bloods and was knocked back. The lungs in his chest withered and disappeared inside his body. Without his lungs he couldn't breathe. The pain caused him to let out muffled groans. After his lungs died, his spleen decayed. Large amounts of blood spread everywhere across his body. The decay of his spleen severely affected his recovery. Wang Lin's body turned pale and spots of blood appeared all over his body. Lastly, his liver melted after she spoke. 4 of his 5 internal organs had dissipated, cutting off his life force. The dissipating ancient umbrella suddenly disappeared without a trace. The 5th is the heart. Without the heart there is no Tao. The woman calmly looked at Wang Lin. Her thumb slowly bent and her hand formed a fist. After forming a fist, she gently threw a punch toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin felt intense pain in his chest. His heart stopped beating and slowly became petrified. In the blink of an eye, it turned to stone. With his heart petrified, the pain he was experiencing was indescribable. Even Wang Lin couldn't help but let out a mournful cry. Thunderous rumbles echoed when the woman threw her punch. Wang Lin's chest caved in and he was knocked back toward the ground, where the ice had melted back to water. Celestial Imperial Concubine. With a bang, Wang Lin fell to the surface of the water but didn't sink. He endured the pain as his right hand hit the surface of the water and he bounced back up. He attempted to enter the crack in the cloud sea using the jade the mysterious woman had given him, but it had no effect. He tried to summon the nether beast, but there was a seal he couldn't break, and he couldn't sense the nether beast. You have no path to survival, you can't escape. But if you kneel and beg, I may be able to give you a chance of live, the woman said gently as she stepped out of the ice and walked toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face had no blood and he retreated a few more steps. I, Wang Lin, won't even kneel to the heavens, so why would I kneel to you? You have humiliated me, so if I don't die today, I'll pay you back 100-fold. Wang Lin's eyes shined. He didn't breathe as he endured the pain and pointed at the sky. Call the wind, summon the rain magic arsenal. Wang Lin's body gave off a golden glow, and that powerful celestial energy shot toward the sky. The woman had already seen the golden light from Wang Lin. When she saw it again, her beautiful pupils shrank and heavy doubt arose in her heart, but she didn't speak. She stepped forward and moved even faster. She then raised her right hand and pressed it toward Wang Lin once more. The sky rumbled and 13 black dragons that gave off a golden glow appeared and started howling. Then golden rain started to fall. Each drop of rain contained a soul that had died to Wang Lin. As the rain fell, it created a wind and rain world. Although a lot of the souls had dissipated, a lot still remained. They all rushed toward that woman. As the howling echoed, Wang Lin didn't look at the result but continued to retreat. A flash of coldness appeared in his eyes and he pointed at the sky once more. Mountain crumble, lands collapse. Wang Lin hadn't gained enlightenment in land's collapse, but with his cultivation level, he could imitate it. As he pointed, large volcanoes appeared and thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Due to Wang Lin's celestial energy, it made Bai Fan's spell into a real celestial spell. All of this wasn't enough to resist the celestial imperial concubine. Wang Lin also didn't intend to use these spells to push her back. He was planning to use the last of Bai Fan's spells, Dark Moon Clear Sky. Wang Lin had only seen Dark Moon Clear Sky, and it was used by Celestial Lord Xianxia in the Seven-Colored Realm in the Summoned River. They were apprentice brothers who had both cultivated Bai Fan's 6 spells. Wang Lin wasn't as skillful as Xianxia to use the most powerful Dark Moon Clear Sky at will. However, he could force the activation of Dark Moon Clear Sky by using all the spells before it. He had seen it once, so with this current cultivation level and more than 2,000 years of enlightenment, it wasn't difficult to do at least this. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the woman calmly walked out of all these spells. They were useless against her. However, just as she walked out, Wang Lin let out a roar at the sky. Dark Moon Clear Sky. As Wang Lin roared, he pointed at the woman. With this point of his finger, a bright moon appeared on her face. The moment the moon appeared, the woman's expression changed and her steps stopped for the first time. Dark Moon Sect, the first style. Yes, before Bai Fan was taken in by that old thing, he was a traitor of the Dark Moon Sect. The dark moon on the woman's face rapidly condensed and cracks appeared on it, as if it wanted to disfigure her. The cracks were shocking and fresh blood flowed out. The woman let out a groan and her eyes turned extremely cold. If you knew the second style, Dark Moon No Rain, and the third style, Dark Moon Cold Wind, then you might have been able to escape death today. However, with just the first style, as long as I kill you, I can remove it. The woman endured the intense pain coming from her face and headed toward Wang Lin. She knew the spells of the Dark Moon Sect. The Dark Moon Sect's spells were extremely vicious. They wouldn't kill immediately but would continue to inflict more and more pain. The longer they lasted, the more difficult it would be to remove them. At this moment, she charged at Wang Lin and closed in on Wang Lin in an instant. Her hand formed a claw and mercilessly pressed down on Wang Lin. Madness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes and he raised his right hand. After using Dark Moon Clear Sky, he formed a fist and threw a punch at the woman. This punch contained ancient power, but it also used the most powerful Black Tortoise spell. He had learned from the old vermilion bird in the Fallen Land. Waves of vibration formed ripples around Wang Lin's punch. From afar, these ripples made the area between Wang Lin and the woman look like the water surface. The two of them met from the two sides of this surface. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Wang Lin gave it his all and borrowed all the rebound force and collided with the woman's hand. Intense pain filled his body, making him feel as if his body was going to collapse. Blood mist erupted from his body and dyed his clothes bright red. His right arm shattered from the joint and he was knocked back. The rejection force inside his body raged and was already unbearable, but he was still able to suppress it by a sliver. That woman also didn't feel good. Blood started flowing from the corner of her mouth, and she was knocked back several hundred steps. Her body trembled and the dark moon appeared once more. Even more cracks appeared and the dark moon spread to her neck. As it spread, the spell displayed its viciousness. The intense pain caused the woman to let out a muffled groan. At this moment, she was completely disfigured and looked like a ghost. The damage from Dark Moon Clear Sky caused the woman to cough out blood and retreat several hundred more feet. She suddenly looked up and stared at Wang Lin. She then waved her right hand and an ancient harp appeared before her. This woman looked at Wang Lin profoundly and touched the ancient harp. The harp music echoed across the world. As the music continued, it formed a heaven-shaking killing intent. The music became even more urgent and entered Wang Lin's mind, making him feel as if invisible ripples were bombarding him. This pushed him back several thousand feet and caused blood to start leaking from his orifices. My harp music is something only the former celestial sovereign could hear. For you to hear it today, you can smile as you die. Listen to my song buried in the underworld. The woman's voice was calm and her hand over the ancient harp moved faster and faster. The harp music filled the world, but it felt like demonic thoughts had filled Wang Lin's mind. The countless demonic thoughts wanted to tear Wang Lin's heart apart. Wang Lin let out a miserable smile as blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, but he began to laugh. What a good buried in the underworld. As he laughed, Wang Lin turned around and there was a flash of bloodlight. The dim blood sword appeared and howled through the air. In an instant, another woman silently walked out behind Wang Lin. The moment she appeared, the blood sword shot toward her. She was not surprised Wang Lin could find her. If he couldn't do this, he wouldn't be worthy of them setting up this plan to kill him. She allowed the blood sword to pierce through her. Her body was an illusion, as if she only existed in Wang Lin's eyes and had no real body. She gently smiled. An ancient expression goes, a glance back and a smile can charm all life. Although she didn't turn around, that smile seemed to make the world light up and was unimaginably beautiful. I haven't heard Big Sister's harp music in a long time. To be able to hear it today is all thanks to you. The blood sword was useless and was knocked back, circling Wang Lin. Wang Lin had already retreated when he threw out the blood sword. The harp music was filled with killing intent as it filled the world. I really don't want to kill you. The woman that had no real body looked at Wang Lin. She raised her jade-like hand and gently pointed at Wang Lin. I divine with my celestial soul that you will die in 3 breaths. My prediction will come true with my soul as the catalyst. The woman smiled and nodded at Wang Lin. This divination spell was similar to what the All-Seer had, but it was used very differently by this woman. After she spoke, black circles the size of one's fist appeared all over Wang Lin's body. The moment the black circles appeared, they began to fester. Wang Lin's body trembled and he had a feeling that death was arriving. I predict your body will rot in the first breath. The woman smiled as she looked at Wang Lin. The large amount of black circles all over Wang Lin penetrated deep into his body until his bones could be seen. Even his bones became black and began to shatter. The harp music became even more urgent and fused with the woman's gentle words. It rushed into the festering black rickless and tore his body apart. I predict your bones will collapse in the second breath. Popping sounds came from Wang Lin's body and countless cracks appeared on his blackened bones. The cracks spread until even his skull was suffering the same fate. If his body was transparent, one would clearly see that all the bones in his body were about to collapse as the black cracks spread. Some parts had already shattered. The pain being inflicted here was no less intense than what he felt from the first Celestial Imperial Concubine's 5 burial spell. As Wang Lin retreated, all his life force rapidly dissipated and he slowly walked toward death. He was already seriously injured, and he could barely suppress the raging rejection force in his body. His 5 internal organs were gone, and now, under the divination spell, he was already near his end. But Wang Lin still hadn't taken out the bow. Although he was dying, he hadn't died yet. The sovereign hadn't appeared, and he didn't believe these 2 celestial imperial concubines were the last ones. Wang Lin knew he only had the power to use the bow once. If that arrow couldn't seriously injure the sovereign and everyone here, then he would really die. He couldn't take out the bow until the last moment. The woman looked at Wang Lin gently, the same way she would look at a lover. Her jade-like hand pointed at Wang Lin as she uttered the last words. I predict the 3rd breath. Soul death. Her voice was gentle and fused with the harp music. The 2 celestial imperial concubines were using different methods at the same time to kill Wang Lin. Their powers were fused. One part disrupted Wang Lin's mind and the other used the divination spell to suppress Wang Lin. The 2 complemented each other, making it obvious that this was planned. Just as she spoke the last words, Wang Lin let out a shocking roar. Wang Lin couldn't understand this divination spell, but he could tell that it contained a powerful destructive force. Wang Lin's flesh festered and his bones shattered. Intense pain flooded into him. His body showed signs of collapsing. However, at this moment, Wang Lin raised his right hand and hit his forehead. With this, his body rumbled. His body was a fusion of the ancients and celestials after collapsing and reforming many times inside the nether beast. Thanks to the madman's handiwork, his celestial body was now 50% the immortal celestial body. Although not perfect, it already contained the power of immortality. If not for this moment of crisis, Wang Lin wouldn't change. Once he changed, the rejection force inside his body would erupt out of control. During this entire time, although the rejection force raged inside his body, Wang Lin kept it under control. However, when he switched from his ancient body to his celestial body, his control would collapse. Once the rejection force erupted completely, Wang Lin would lose all chance of suppressing it again. It was like a wild horse escaping its reins. It would be impossible to capture it again. However, at this moment he had no time to think about this. As his soul was about to collapse, his hand landed and golden light shined from his body. This golden light was bright and spread in all directions. Even planet Suzaku in the distance was golden from the light. The man inside the ice had melted the ice and was just walking out with a pale expression. He immediately saw the glaring golden light and his expression changed once more. As the golden light spread, Wang Lin's ancient god body dissipated and hid inside his ancient god stars. His body emitted endless golden light and became the immortal celestial body. After the immortal celestial body appeared, the expression of the woman that spoke those gentle words changed greatly. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. She came from the same world as the celestial sovereign. When she saw Wang Lin's change, she thought of a legend. When Wang Lin's immortal celestial body appeared, the strange divination spell inside him erupted. Wang Lin's immortal body collapsed. However, just as it collapsed, there was a flash of golden light and it formed once more. The woman with the gentle expression coughed out illusory blood and retreated a few steps. Her divination spell was destroyed and her mind was injured. However, none of this could compare to the terror and disbelief she felt. She originally felt that Wang Lin's original appearance seemed familiar and had her suspicions. However, after seeing his body collapse and reform from the golden light, her expression changed completely. Immortal celestial body. The woman was startled and subconsciously retreated. Her eyes were filled with fear. You actually have the immortal celestial body. The immortal celestial body that all celestials worship. You're not a native cultivator from here, Who the hell are you and what is your relation with the celestial heaven emperor? The woman was shaken by the changes in Wang Lin's body. Her mind rumbled as if countless celestial thunderbolts had exploded within her. I can't kill him. His change caused her to feel extreme fear. Several times more than when she faced the celestial sovereign. Not only her, but the woman playing the harp also trembled and her harp stopped. She stared dumbfoundedly at Wang Lin covered in the golden light. Inside the golden light, a storm swept inside Wang Lin's body. This storm was the rejection force that had fully erupted. His body suddenly collapsed under the gazes of the two celestial imperial concubines. After it collapsed, it formed once more. After this repeated several times, the woman that had stopped playing the harp clenched her teeth. At this moment, the dark moon spread even more. If she didn't kill Wang Lin, then not only would this kill her projection, it would even affect her original body. This immortal celestial body is not complete. It was obviously stolen. Kill him. The woman clenched her teeth and grabbed the harp. She pulled the strings and the world rumbled as shocking harp music echoed. As the harp music played, blurry knives appeared before it. She spat out blood and infused the knives with it before making them launch toward Wang Lin. All of this happened in an instant. During one collapse and reformation, Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot from the pain. He let out a roar and his hand formed a seal. Just as the 9 knives closed in, he waved his hand. With this wave, his body collapsed once more. Although his body collapsed, the spell was still used. The world became dark as if shrouded in darkness. Then in the distance a sun began to rise. Sundered Night, Wang Lin's first original spell. The world was blurry in this darkness, but it couldn't hide the golden light around Wang Lin's collapsed body. That golden light seemed to fuse with the rising sun and erupted with the power to tear apart the darkness. The power of Sundered Night erupted forth. At this moment, Wang Lin's body reformed once more. He let out a roar and his face became twisted. The intense pain almost made him go mad. He weaved his hand and the water below him rumbled. A giant stone door appeared. When the stone door appeared, the aura of passing time surrounded the area. Wang Lin's second original spell, Flowing Time, appeared. Sundered Night and Flowing Night were extraordinary spells. As Wang Lin's body continued to collapse and reform, these spells contained his celestial energy and became even more powerful. The world rumbled and the darkness was torn by the golden light. 4 of the 9 knives collapsed to sundered night. The remaining 5 collided with flowing time. In the end, only 3 knives landed on Wang Lin's body, and they collapsed along with his body. The other woman that had made the predictions rapidly retreated while surrounded by sundered night and flowing time. She was already feeling shock and panic, causing a flaw to appear in her Tao heart. Now she was being hit by these 2 celestial spells, making her cough out blood and rapidly retreat. She already had no intention of fighting anymore. However, just as Wang Lin used these 2 spells and his body collapsed and formed again, a blurry figure walked out from behind him. It was impossible to see if this blurry figure was man or woman, young or old. His body was covered in a vague mist that drifted outwards after he appeared. This old man, one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, Heaven Master Void Gate. An erratic voice echoed as he raised his hand and slammed down on Wang Lin's back after he just reformed. Wang Lin's body trembled violently and he coughed out a mouthful of golden blood. His body was thrown toward planet Suzaku and smashed into it. That blurry figure opened his mouth and inhaled the golden blood Wang Lin had coughed out. His eyes were filled with greed as his body turned into a cloud and chased after Wang Lin. Celestial bloodline. No matter what your identity is, this old man will take your immortal body. When Wang Lin landed on planet Suzaku, a thunderous rumble echoed. Planet Suzaku trembled as Wang Lin slammed into a mountain like a meteor. The mountain collapsed and rocks scattered as Wang Lin landed on the ground. The earth trembled and a crack formed as Wang Lin smashed in deeper. Thunderous rumbles echoed as Wang Lin smashed deep into planet Suzaku while his body collapsed and reformed. He went through the caves of the Tattoo clan. Although this planet Suzaku had been fished out by the sovereigns fishing in the well, it was still planet Suzaku. Aside from the fact that there were no living things, everything else still existed. The Tattoo clan's cave was still there. As Wang Lin smashed through, he went through the earth and appeared in the 18th layer of the Tattoo clan's cave. Everything here was the same as when he left. One of the walls had collapsed, and outside the gap was the foreign battleground. Fishing in the well was extremely strange as it fished out the foreign battleground as well. Although it was only a projection, the endless wandering souls and countless corpses were still there. Wang Lin's body landed in the 18th layer with a bang and he coughed out blood once more. His body was covered in a golden light, and the pain was enough to make him pass out. However, he clenched his teeth and endured each collapse. One of the 5 masters, Heavenly Master Void Gods, palm contained a powerful aura. It hit Wang Lin's back, causing his immortal body to show signs of instability. Wang Lin's immortal body was not perfect. As his body continued to reform, Wang Lin struggled to get up. However, just as he got up, a vague hoarse laughter echoed. Heaven Master Void God appeared outside the hole Wang Lin had made through the ground. His body was completely formed by fog and his eyes were filled with greed. He raised his right hand and reached at Wang Lin. Wang Lin was about to resist, but his body collapsed once more. When he collapsed, Heaven Master Void God's eyes narrowed and he withdrew his right hand. His fog-like body rushed into the collapsed flesh of Wang Lin. A heaven-given opportunity. It looks like even the heavens themselves want me to take your celestial body. Heaven Master Void God laughed and integrated into Wang Lin's collapsed flesh and blood. Once Wang Lin's immortal body reformed, he let out a miserable scream he hadn't released since the battle began. Wang Lin's reform had a hint of darkness in the golden light. The darkness moved through his body and rushed into his head. A faint laughter echoed in his mind. This body belongs to this old man from now on. It's useless to resist. Enjoy the feeling of being possessed. This feeling is something I fear you will only get to experience once. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. The pain of being possessed made him feel like he had lost everything. As he struggled with the darkness, he lost control of his legs. An instant later, he lost control of his right hand and upper body. He could only move his left hand, but even that gradually became numb. As Heaven Master Void God's divine sense took over his body, his memories began to fragment. This domineering divine sense rushed toward his memory. It wanted to learn his entire life and then erase him. Wang Lin let out painful roar from his mouth, but it grew weaker. His eyes were filled with struggle, but that struggle gradually weakened. His body flew upward outside of his control. With this body, this old man can do as I wish in this world. I just need to finish this final refining, and then even the heaven-defying bead will be mine. The old man's laughter came from Wang Lin's mouth. His expression looked twisted as he flew out of planet Suzaku. However, as he flew into the air, Wang Lin's left hand formed a seal and pointed at the foreign battleground in the 18th layer of the Tattoo clan's home. With this, the countless wandering souls inside the foreign battleground trembled. Wang Lin was once a soul devourer, so he had strong control over these wandering souls. The countless wandering souls inside the projection of the foreign battleground began to rage. As they swept the area, forming a storm, even more wandering souls gathered. A few beings that were also soul devourers were also slowly integrated into the storm. This storm swept across the foreign battleground and tore apart the countless corpses. This caused the wandering souls inside the corpses to join. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the powerful wandering soul storm rushed out of the gap in the 18th layer. This was the first time they had left the foreign battleground. This was the first time they had charged out without that strange law blocking them. Although the sovereign had fished them out with fishing in the well, not even he could not fish out the strange law that sealed the foreign battleground. As a result, this allowed these wandering souls to move without any restrictions. Their excited roar swept across planet Suzaku. This caused planet Suzaku to tremble violently as if countless evil souls had been released. Planet Suzaku could not bear it anymore and began to collapse. Heaven Master Void God manipulated Wang Lin's body to fly out. Although he had taken control, he couldn't stop Wang Lin's body from collapsing and reforming. However, his cultivation level was far above Wang Lin's, so he could forcibly suppress the collapse and reform to a smaller scale. This killing is over. Heavenly Master Void God's ancient voice came from Wang Lin's mouth. He looked toward the two celestial imperial concubines and the man in white who had walked out of the ice. However, before he finished speaking, the planet Suzaku behind him trembled and suddenly exploded. A thunderous rumble echoed across the world when planet Suzaku was torn apart. A monstrous black storm rushed out from the collapsed planet Suzaku and shrouded this world. The expression of Heavenly Master Void God changed and his pupils shrank as he turned around. However, it was too late to retreat. The wandering soul storm rushed out from planet Suzaku and rushed at him at an unimaginable speed. It was as if there was a voice in his body that was calling out to the wandering souls and the few soul devourers that were charging out of planet Suzaku. It was as if that voice belonged to their king. The black storm instantly shrouded Heaven Master Void God and rushed into his body. If you looked closely, you would see that there were countless wandering souls inside the storm. They all rushed into Wang Lin's body. In an instant, the black storm was gone as all the wandering souls had rushed into Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body trembled and collapsed once more. This collapse spread tens of thousands of feet. With the help of the countless wandering souls and Wang Lin's own strength, a monstrous aura erupted. He was able to force Heaven Master Void God out of his flesh and blood while releasing reluctant roar. Large amounts of mist spread out as the endless wandering souls raged. This went on until the mist formed back into Heaven Master Void God's body. His eyes were filled with reluctance as he let out a roar and charged forward once more. At the same time, the celestial imperial concubine, almost covered by dark moon, revealed a cold gaze and stepped forward. The man in white also closed in with powerful killing intent. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's body reformed with the help of the endless wandering souls. Now it wouldn't collapse for a short period of time. His eyes shined brightly as he stared at the incoming Heaven Master Void God. You're all looking for death. Wang Lin's previous experiences had caused him to come infinitely close to death. He could no longer care about the fact that the sovereign still hadn't appeared. After his body reformed, his left hand extended out and golden light gathered in it. Then Bao appeared in his hand. Shortly after, Wang Lin's right hand grabbed the bowstring and pulled back. In an instant, the bow was fully drawn. His body was pulled straight. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes and they were filled with monstrous killing intent. The moment he pulled, an arrow with a round tip appeared. The body of the arrow had complex runes, and the faint screams of Nanzhao and Tianzhao could be heard from it. Bursts of arrow energy surrounded the area and an ancient aura spread out. This caused the expression of Heaven Master Void God to change greatly and his body to tremble. Li Guang Bao. You actually found this arrow. The Void God's voice was almost twisted. At this moment he couldn't care about anything else and retreated with terror in his eyes. Damn it, I know why that sovereign still hasn't appeared. Sovereign, I'm not done with you. Heaven Master Void God had almost lost his wits. He was too aware of the power of the bow with this arrow. Just thinking about it made his scalp numb. This old man is not getting involved. While retreating, Heaven Master Void God took out a jade, but there was no reaction. The two celestial imperial concubines knew the bow and arrow better than him. The woman surrounded by the dark moon was filled with panic and quickly retreated. The other celestial imperial concubine turned pale, and no longer displayed the pride she had before. Before Wang Lin's arrow, she desperately retreated and also crushed the jade, but there was no response. When this bow was drawn, the heavens and earth changed colors. When this arrow appeared, the clouds scattered. Wang Lin's gaze was as cold as ice as he looked at the four people retreating rapidly, including the man in white who was extremely arrogant and had frozen the ancient umbrella. Their expressions changed greatly and they desperately tried to escape. All of them were powerful cultivators with much higher cultivation levels than Wang Lin. However, right now only their projections were here, so their cultivation levels were suppressed to mid-stage spirit void, a level that wouldn't be detected by the inner realm cultivators. However, these four people had forced Wang Lin to face several life and death crises. If Wang Lin hadn't learned the realm-burning umbrella in the fallen land, he would have died to their first combined attack. If Wang Lin hadn't obtained the fortune from the madman, he would have died to the two celestial imperial concubines. Similarly, if he didn't have this bow and arrow, even if he had given it his all, he wouldn't have been able to escape. Staring at the four of them, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent. He only had the power to launch this one arrow. Once the arrow was used, he would need to sacrifice life force to use this bow, and he had no life force left to sacrifice. He had prepared this arrow for the sovereign, the strongest person that hadn't appeared yet. He intended to wait until everyone who wanted to kill him had shown up, and then use this arrow to end this calamity. However, not everything could go as Wang Lin wished. He was not the heavens, so he couldn't change how others acted or control their thoughts. As the four closed in, Wang Lin knew that if he didn't take out the bow and arrow, he would die before the sovereign arrived. His immortal celestial body was not complete. Although it could help a bit, it had also damaged Wang Lin too much. Wang Lin knew that if he experienced a few more collapses, his soul might truly collapse and he would really die before they could even kill him. The only thing remaining would be an immortal body. What was immortal was his body, not his soul. Kill. Wang Lin loosened his right hand that had pulled the bow into a full moon. His right hand trembled and the bowstring released a buzz that echoed across the world. All the force from the bowstring was transferred to the arrow. That arrow moved with the bowstring. When the monstrous force from the bowstring passed through, the arrow shot out. The world changed greatly. A deafening, howling sound echoed across the world. This arrow was like a ray of death that shot out like crazy. What charged out along with it was Wang Lin's soul, origin soul, and all the power inside his body. His ancient energy, celestial bloodline energy, and everything else. At the moment the arrow flew off, all of these things turned into invisible smoke and were absorbed by this arrow. He only had enough power for one arrow. Wang Lin's body trembled due to the bow and showed signs of collapsing. He retreated hundreds of feet, but still couldn't offset the force of drawing the bow. Blood flowed out and he was knocked into the water in the distance. However, he stared ahead with a grin. He stared at the shocking arrow that had shot out. Once the arrow shot out, a deep gully appeared in the calm water. This gully seemed to match the arrow and extended as the arrow flew forward. It was as if there was a pair of giant hands forcing the water apart. A huge crack even appeared in the sky. The crack continued to spread and seemed like it was going to break this extremely powerful killing formation that was set to kill Wang Lin. The four people escaped in terror. Heaven Master Void God was the fastest and was the furthest away. The two celestial imperial concubines followed closely after. Their faces showed pain and despair appeared in their eyes. The man in white was lowest in cultivation level and status. He couldn't keep up and fell behind, which resulting in him becoming the person closest to the arrow. The arrow broke through the heavens and earth as it closed in, creating ripples that spread in all directions. A monstrous killing intent came from the arrow, and the runes on the body of the arrow gave off a faint flicker. It was as if at this moment, no person or thing in this world could stop this arrow. In an instant, it closed in on the man in white. The man in white turned deathly pale. He attempted to crush the jade to leave, but although the jade shattered, there was no reaction. At this moment, as the arrow closed in, he felt a sting of pain in his forehead and coughed out blood. He knew he couldn't escape. He let out a roar and turned around to use a spell. However, just as he turned around, the arrow closed in at an unimaginable speed and hit the area between his eyebrows. A thunderous bang rang out and the man in white's head exploded. His body disintegrated layer by layer as the arrow pierced through. His mournful scream disappeared just as it began. This caused the other three to tremble and almost lose their minds. The celestial imperial concubine that was covered by the dark moon looked hideous, but there was terror and despair in her eyes. The arrow closed in and pointed at her forehead. This celestial imperial concubine suddenly turned, exposing her twisted expression. She raised her right hand and layers of light screens appeared. However, the arrow penetrated them all and closed in. At this moment of crisis, the celestial imperial concubine coughed out blood and formed a blood person. It began to take shape, but the arrow pierced through as it shot toward the celestial imperial concubine that had reached the limit of despair. All of this happened in an instant. The celestial imperial concubine took out the ancient harp she had played before. This harp was a gift from the celestial sovereign and an extremely powerful treasure. But just as the ancient harp appeared to block for her, it collapsed into countless fragments. The celestial imperial concubine let out a scream and retreated. But she only retreated 2 steps before the arrow pierced through the harp and through her head. The celestial imperial concubine's head exploded like the man in white's and her body dissipated. The arrow rushed through as her body dissipated. The shocking arrow had killed 2 people in a row, so it had lost some momentum, but it still had monstrous power. At this moment it shot toward the third person, the woman who had used the divination spell. The woman had witnessed the death of the man in white and then saw her sister collapse. Her face revealed a miserable expression. Although this body was a projection and a normal death would be fine, dying to this arrow would apply serious injuries to her original body. This arrow didn't belong in this world. This arrow came from her hometown. It was a famous treasure of the Li family. Feeling despair, the woman no longer fled. She turned around to face the arrow that was growing larger and larger until it filled her vision. She closed her eyes. Just as she closed her eyes, the arrow closed in on her forehead. Just as it was about to pierce through, a 7-colored light came from her chest. On her neck was a pendant made of a piece of a black, oval-shaped stone. The 7-colored light came from this stone. The pendant floated before her, and the 7-colored light surrounded her body. Just at this moment, the arrow pierced through the woman's forehead. She didn't open her eyes until after the arrow passed. She didn't receive any injuries, but a crack had appeared on the floating black stone before her. My most beloved concubine, I give this stone to you, can protect you, so that even if one day I'm not there, it will still be with you. These soft words from the celestial sovereign echoed in her ears. The arrow pierced through the woman and chased after Heaven Master Void God, who was in fog form. A thunderous rumble echoed across the world when the arrow pierced into the fog. The fog suddenly collapsed. The moment it collapsed, it rapidly condensed into an old man wearing black. His face was pale, and just as he retreated, his body collapsed once more. A miserable scream echoed. In a short period of time, Heaven Master Void God had collapsed several times. When he reformed the last time, the mark between his eyebrows shattered and the arrow pierced through his body. One of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, Heaven Master Void God, let out a miserable smile and exploded. Large amounts of fog dissipated without a trace. Sovereign, this old man has blocked the arrow for you. You have to give this old man an explanation. His mournful roar echoed as he dissipated. The only words that could describe the power of this arrow were heaven shaking. After killing 3 people, there wasn't much power left in the arrow, but it still howled toward the sky. It was going to attempt to break open the sky and release Wang Lin from his calamity. However, just as the arrow closed in on the sky and the blue light began to flicker, a person silently walked out. This person was wearing a black robe that even covered his face. A powerful pressure spread out from his body. This pressure was far stronger than the mid-stage arcane void cultivation limit allowed in this sealed space. He stretched out his dried-up right hand and grabbed the arrow. His body trembled and then he slowly raised his head to look at Wang Lin. He spoke in a calm and hoarse voice. The roar from borrowing the power from the ancient tomb, blocking the outer realm cultivators in the first battle in the Cloud Sea. Wang Lin, we finally meet again. This old man is the sovereign. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the person in the black robe. How could Wang Lin forget this appearance? This person was the sovereign, the leader of the 5 masters of the ancient star system. Someone with great cunning who had schemed against heaven and earth. Whether it was killing the previous lord of the sealed realm, the destruction of the 4 celestial realms, scheming against celestial emperor Qinglin, setting up the tattoo clan to find Li Guang's arrow, the betrayal of Taoist water, Master Simo's fall, the death of the Zhan family ancestor, and various other things all contain the shadow of the sovereign. In the ancient star system, Wang Lin faintly felt like his mind was being manipulated. Thinking about it now, it must have also been an act of the sovereign. In Wang Lin's memory, there was a spell he couldn't erase. It was fishing the moon in the well. He had seen that spell when he faced the 3rd vermilion bird that he suspected to be the sovereign. When he saw the water, he feared that this calamity was also a fishing the moon in the well. What was fished out was planet Suzaku and Wang Lin. Fishing the moon in the well. Wang Lin stood up on the water and calmly looked at the sky. The celestial imperial concubine that hadn't died stood in a daze between the two of them. She retreated a few steps and became silent. The man in the black robe seemed to smile as he said in a hoarse voice, "If it wasn't for Blue Dream taking pity on you, you would have already become this old man's pawn." He then leisurely squeezed and the arrow trembled and dissipated in his hand. He dreaded the power of this arrow, which was why he had delayed his appearance. He had waited until after Wang Lin used the arrow to reveal himself. This arrow had already formed a connection with the bow in Wang Lin's body. After it dissipated, it reappeared inside Wang Lin through some strange method. If Li Guang hadn't died, this arrow would have returned to Li Guang's body. Tell me, where did you obtain your celestial bloodline? After the black-robed man squeezed the arrow, he slowly walked toward Wang Lin. Although his pace was slow, each step he took caused Wang Lin to tremble. It was as if endless pressure was pressing on his body from all directions. What was even more bizarre was that a reflection of the black-robed man had appeared on the water surface and was walking toward Wang Lin. It looked like there were 2 sovereigns, one in the sky and one on the ground. That pressure suddenly doubled and came from both the sky and the earth. This caused Wang Lin's face turn pale, and he couldn't move his body at all, as if he was being stopped by the stop spell. However, his eyes were calm. Things had already reached this point, and Wang Lin knew that it would be very difficult to survive this calamity. He understood this when he released that arrow. Not going to speak? It doesn't matter. I'll get my answer from you. The black-robed man shook his head and raised his dried-up right hand. He pointed toward Wang Lin. With this, the blue sky disappeared without a trace and was replaced with golden light. This golden light was sunlight that came from a sun that had suddenly appeared in the sky. The sun appeared suddenly and hung in the sky. The aura of the law of origin spread out. As the sunlight flashed, the sovereign's figure became dark. As he walked forward, halos appeared around him. Aside from that arrow, you have nothing left to use against me. Since the beginning there was light, and this light is one of the essences this old man has comprehended. Law of origin essence. Under the power of the law of origin, your ancient and celestial powers will separate. The sovereign's voice was ancient, and all the light in the world formed a pillar of light that shined on Wang Lin. Wang Lin couldn't resist absolute power. Intense pain came from his body as the light surrounded him. The light was as hot as the sun. Wang Lin felt the familiar law of origin as it burned everything inside him, including the wandering souls. This law of origin was extremely deadly to the wandering souls. Miserable screams echoed and all the wandering souls inside Wang Lin dissipated. Without the wandering souls, Wang Lin's body collapsed under the rejection force and the light. The law of origin forced its way into Wang Lin's flesh and blood. It was going to force Wang Lin's ancient and celestial powers apart. One could faintly see that after Wang Lin's body reformed, the golden light in his body was about to rush out. That feeling of being separated by force was several times more intense than when he fused. Wang Lin's expression became twisted, but he didn't make a sound, he just stared at the sovereign. He was going to remember this, remember everything that had happened to him today. If he had another life, if he didn't die today, then all the pain he had suffered on this day would be paid back 100-fold. He still had one ace he hadn't used. This ace was likely out of his control, but at this moment Wang Lin didn't care. But he was waiting for the most critical moment, waiting for the sovereign to come closer. Maybe then this ace might be able to change everything. The black-robed figure didn't seem to have any change in his expression from being stared at by Wang Lin. His right index finger slowly stretched out with the other 4 fingers and formed a palm. As the law of origin caused Wang Lin's ancient and celestial powers to separate, he walked closer and closer to Wang Lin. Then his right hand reached toward Wang Lin, fishing the moon in the well. As the black-robed man reached out, his reflection on the surface also reached toward Wang Lin. He wanted to reach out to the celestial bloodline that was forcibly being separated from Wang Lin's body. As he moved, a tearing pain came from Wang Lin's body. This pain almost caused him to scream, but he held back. The veins on his face swelled up and his eyes were bloodshot, but he continued to stare at the sovereign. A little closer. Large amounts of golden light spread out from Wang Lin's body and endless golden blood came from his orifices. Also, inside Wang Lin's bones, the most important bone marrow that made the blood also squeezed its way out of his body. In a flash, under the intense pain, all the blood inside Wang Lin's body spread out, including the bone marrow. All the fortune the madman had given him erupted from his body. From afar, this scene looked extremely shocking. The golden blood that was spraying from Wang Lin's body took human form, and it was shaped like Wang Lin. It was like a soul. Wang Lin seemed to have been split in half, and the figure made of golden light slowly separated from Wang Lin's body. It floated 7 inches above Wang Lin, and less golden light connecting them remained. When the golden figure flew out, Wang Lin's ancient god stars appeared. But there was no golden light. Even the ancient devil's stars in his right eye had lost the golden light. The black-robed man's eyes lit up and he mercilessly reached out. The remaining golden light broke. Wang Lin's celestial bloodline was completely separated from his body. When it was separated, the golden figure moved and then turned into a drop of golden blood. This drop of blood contained the half-complete rune for the immortal celestial body. This drop of blood was refined from the fortune the madman had given Wang Lin. Without the celestial bloodline, there was no rejection force. Wang Lin returned back to the way he was when he met the madman. Popping sounds echoed inside him and he returned to his ancient god body. Immortal celestial body. This is the immortal celestial body. Where did you get it? The black-robed man looked at the drop of golden blood floating above Wang Lin. There was strong excitement in his eyes but also a strong sense of fear. The sovereign would rarely lose his composure like this. Only this blood could make him like this. He could know everything about Wang Lin, but there was no way for him to know what had happened to Wang Lin inside the nether beast. At this moment, the sovereign stepped forward and his right hand reached out for the drop of golden blood. Just as he did so, there was a monstrous cold gaze in Wang Lin's eyes. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of his ancient blood like an arrow. This opened his storage space and a black palace flew out. The moment this palace appeared, the world darkened and Wang Lin's ancient blood landed on one of the windows, dyeing it red. With my name as Ancient Wang Lin, I release your seal to give you your freedom and help me kill my enemy. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, he could only open one window and release one of the powerful souls sealed by Yimo. As his voice echoed and the blood fell, the window on the Black Palace trembled. Cracking sounds echoed and it suddenly collapsed. A powerful and excited roar came from the collapsed window. Damn Yimo, you sealed his old man Master Scarlet's soul for countless years. Today this old man is finally free. With this roar a red shadow charged out. It was impossible to see the face of the figure, just that it was blood red. A shocking aura appeared with him. The sovereign was too close, so he was hit by the blood shadow when it appeared. He was knocked back several hundred feet and his hood was knocked off, revealing his appearance. Master Scarlet Soul. The red shadow laughed and didn't even look at the sovereign or Wang Lin. In a flash, he went toward the celestial imperial concubine in the distance. The blood shadow surrounded the celestial imperial concubine as she screamed. Her delicate body melted and was devoured by the blood shadow. The blood shadow laughed and charged at the sky. With a flash of blue light, a giant hole appeared. The blood shadow charged out through the hole. At this moment, in the inner realm on the real planet Suzaku in Immortal City, the madman was holding an oily chicken leg. Sitting among a group of beggars, he proudly took a bite under the envious gazes of the beggars. He stared at the sky and was in a daze. Damn, he is no longer here. He doesn't care about this king anymore. No, I need to go find him. He can't just leave me. When the blood shadow charged out of the well, a giant hole appeared in the seal. When the hole appeared, the boundless world began to tremble. Large amounts of cracks spread with the hole as the center. From afar it was a shocking sight. As the cracks appeared in the sky, countless cracks appeared on the water's surface. The entire world trembled violently as if it was going to collapse. A madman came from the sky. Master Scarlet Soul didn't look down at all. After breaking a hole in the sky, he laughed as he left. Little kid, you have the ancient aura on you. This old man should kill you, but since you've released me, this matter evens out. Haha, this old man is finally free. Master Scarlet Soul's voice echoed and no one could stop him from leaving. Even the sovereign had a serious expression as he watched Master Scarlet Soul gradually disappear. Master Scarlet Soul couldn't be controlled, which Wang Lin had expected, but he still felt regret. However, his emergence did resolve the danger of the sovereign reaching out toward the golden blood above Wang Lin. He had also broken open the seal, so Wang Lin could move freely once more. Wang Lin quickly raised his right hand and grabbed the drop of blood above him. This drop of blood was extremely pure and was his celestial bloodline, so it could not be placed in his storage space. He held it in his hand as he charged for the hole in the sky. If I leave this place, I can survive this life and death calamity. Now that a hole has opened, the aura will leak out, and all the third-step cultivators in the inner realm will notice. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with madness as he charged at the hole in the sky. The sovereign's law of origin and fishing the moon in the well were used to extract Wang Lin's celestial bloodline. His purpose was to obtain that drop of condensed celestial blood. Although Wang Lin hadn't willingly taken it out, the sovereign had his methods to obtain what he desired. However, because Master Scarlet Soul had rushed out, he was forced back several hundred feet. Although he looked unharmed, his original body had coughed out its second mouthful of blood. The first mouthful of blood came when he grabbed the arrow. After being forced back, he lost the chance to get the blood. As a result, this wasn't a bad thing for Wang Lin. His ancient and celestial bodies hadn't fused and the rejection force was like a blade hanging above his head. He was in extreme danger as his body was constantly collapsing. However, now his ancient and celestial powers had been separated by the sovereign, which resolved the issue of the rejection force, and the blade hanging above him had disappeared. Things in life were often like this. There were losses but also gains. Wang Lin lost his celestial body and celestial bloodline, but at the same time his body had turned back into an ancient god. The amazing recovery power immediately kicked in. The 5 organs he had lost began to appear and his injuries rapidly recovered. His origin soul appeared inside his body. Although it was weakened, the intense pain was no longer there. He also felt more relaxed. At the same time, the golden blood condensed from his celestial body was not taken by the sovereign and was in Wang Lin's hand. If he survived, he wouldn't try to integrate it by force. Doing so was simply impossible. The result would only be death as it was like a powerful toxin. Wang Lin would choose to refine it into a treasure, a celestial body treasure. Then he would integrate this treasure into his body to avoid the problem of the rejection force and still use its power. When Wang Lin was given this fortune by the madman, he had no power to choose and was forced to absorb. If he had to choose, he would not try to fuse ancient and celestial powers with his current cultivation. Even in the madman's world, no one had ever tried it. The result of trying it by force would only be death. However, the life and death calamity the sovereign had brought upon Wang Lin had resolved this issue. A calamity was a calamity, but it could also be great fortune. These thoughts flashed through Wang Lin's mind as he rushed toward the hole. The moment the hole appeared, all the aura inside erupted outwards. The originally hidden world could no longer be hidden once that hole was made. It was instantly felt by the various third-step cultivators in the inner realm. In the Cloud Sea, Master Xian was refining the third-step cultivator they had captured in the seven-colored realm in the summoned revered. He had just noticed something strange in the soul when he suddenly looked up into the distance. His expression changed greatly. Not good. Master Xian didn't hesitate to put the puppet before him away and step forward. Ripples echoed as he used his full speed and disappeared. The moment he disappeared, Master Xianxian's teacher also awakened. His pupils shrank and he quickly fused with the world. In the brilliant void realm in the rain celestial realm, Qinglin was in closed-door cultivation healing. He was in a secret room surrounded by mist that gave off a dim glow. At this moment he suddenly opened his eyes and was shocked. Sovereign! His face sank and his right hand ripped open a rift before him. He disappeared in an instant. Also inside the brilliant void, in the corpse sect, Master Southcloud was concentrating on refining a set of formation flags. These flags would be for the next great war, but as he was refining, he suddenly looked up. His expression changed greatly when he noticed the sealing aura. Then he stepped forward without hesitation. The Summoned River third-step cultivators also noticed this aura, and they all anxiously moved. In all heaven, a person wearing green was silently walking through the stars. He looked ahead with a dim expression as if he was looking for something, but he found no sign of it. This person was Xianxia. He let out a sigh and was about to look forward when he suddenly looked back. His expression changed and he stared toward the brilliant void. Wang Lin. After feeling the looming aura in the inner realm, Xianxia no longer thought about his own matter. Coldness and killing intent filled his eyes as he charged toward the brilliant void. In Summoned River, the young man that had escaped during Wang Lin's divine retribution still couldn't find the place. He had simply decided to hang around the area he suspected. While thinking, his eyes suddenly lit up and he looked toward the brilliant void. Eh? His eyes narrowed and ripples echoed as he disappeared. In the Thunder Celestial Realm, there was a thunderous rumble. The mysterious old ghost John stepped out and charged toward the brilliant void. Various powerful cultivators noticed it when Master Scarlet Soul broke the seal. They all rushed over from all directions. All of this happened in an instant. Wang Lin was about to step into the hole. Seeing Wang Lin about to leave, the sovereign's eyes revealed a mysterious light. He wouldn't allow this plan to fail, despite the fact that the moment the seal collapsed, everyone in the inner realm would have felt it. Even though old ghost John or the mysterious person that had seriously injured him with a roar before could instantly appear, he still wasn't going to let Wang Lin escape. Blue Dream, don't forget our agreement. I'll help you get your wife's body back. The sovereign's voice was calm. At the same time, his dried-up right hand pointed at the sky. After he spoke, a sigh came from the sky. As Wang Lin stepped into the hole in the sky, blue light gathered, forming a light screen blocking Wang Lin. Not only that, but the blue light flashed and knocked Wang Lin back inside. He once said that he wasn't going to attack, but at this moment he had attacked. When he attacked and blocked Wang Lin from leaving, the relationship between them had been broken clean. There was a complicated look in Wang Lin's eyes. As he was knocked back, the sovereign's right hand pointed at the sky and a red light appeared. Shortly after, orange light appeared, and in the blink of an eye, seven-colored filled the sky. This endless seven-colored light interlaced together, and soon, a giant seven-colored lance appeared above the sovereign. His dried-up right hand grabbed the seven-colored lance. As he coldly looked at Wang Lin, he threw the lance at him. The seven-colored lance howled through the air, carrying a destructive aura and a power Wang Lin could not resist. This was a lance of death. Seven-colored lance. The madman had used this spell before, and Wang Lin even knew the chant and seals for it. However, he hadn't comprehended it, so he couldn't use it. However, he knew the seven-colored lance contained the power to destroy the world. It was an extremely powerful spell that didn't belong to this world, like the realm-burning umbrella. Everything before Wang Lin dissipated, and the only thing that remained was the seven-colored light. His eyes were filled with despair and the aura of death surrounded his body. Wang Lin understood he couldn't dodge, escape or resist. This seven-colored lance was the real life and death calamity. In his eyes, those rolling clouds seemed to appear once more. He saw the helpless white bird that tried to escape the dark clouds as the rain fell. That bird clearly appeared before Wang Lin's eyes. It was filled with despair, reluctance, and struggle, but in the end it was still devoured by the dark clouds. That bird was the sign of the life and death calamity. The sky was shrouded in seven-colored light. The lance formed by the seven-colored light got closer and closer. Wang Lin revealed a bitter smile. He understood it was likely he wouldn't survive this calamity. Father, mother, Taizhu is very tired. I'll come and accompany you, okay? The despair in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared and was replaced by relief. He was very tired. He wanted to rest, he wanted to close his eyes, he wanted to live a mortal life. He didn't want to face those life and death struggles, he didn't want to consider all the struggles against fate, he didn't want to drag his parents into it, have to send his parents off and sweep before their grave. He would rather not know anything himself, not know that there were cultivators on planet Suzaku, that there were other cultivation countries, and that there was the Cultivation Alliance outside of planet Suzaku. He didn't want to know that the space outside planet Suzaku had countless other planets like planet Suzaku. He didn't want to know that outside planet Suzaku there was the Cultivation Alliance and that the Cultivation Alliance was only in the Brilliant Void. He also didn't want to know that outside the Brilliant Void there was all heaven, the Cloud Sea, and the Summoned River. He didn't want to know that all of this was only the inner realm. He didn't want to know that there was the outer realm outside. As Wang Lin lived on, he faintly realized that there was even more out of that. And more. It's all over. I'm free. One Air, I'm sorry. In the end, I didn't gain the strength to awaken you. Ping Air, I'm sorry. Your father did his best. Wang Lin felt bitter as he closed his eyes. These were his last thoughts before death as the seven-colored lance closed in on him. As he closed his eyes, the clothes on his chest collapsed and his chest followed. Flesh and blood were ripped apart, and his face was the same. Dust to dust, earth to earth. When the seven-colored lance was only a few hundred feet away, warm images appeared before his eyes. In the yard, his father inhaled from his pipe and spat out smoke before he put the pipe down. There was a small wooden carving of a colt in his hand. His face was filled with a smile. This was his gift for Taizhu's 7th birthday. Wang Lin crouched next to his father with his hands on his chin and his eyes filled with excitement. He watched the little colt take form. In his eyes, his father was omnipotent, his father was the heavens, his father could do anything. Not far away, his mother was holding a pan. While feeding the chickens, ducks, and livestock around her, she would look at the father and son pair with a soft gaze filled with happiness. The image gradually dissipate into countless fragments. These fragments gradually reformed into a secluded valley surrounded by shade. There was a wooden cabin inside the valley. Li Muwen was sitting in front of the house with her hair coiled up like a madam. Her delicate face radiated happiness as she gently looked at the man before her. She had waited for a long time for this moment. Now she could silently watch him until the end of eternality. Her gentle hand moved over the ancient zither and gentle tunes played. As the music echoed, Wang Lin held a piece of wood like his father and looked gently at Li Muwen as he carved for her. The two looked at each other. This valley was filled with an unexplainable feeling, and it was unforgettable. This image slowly dissipated, and after it turned to fragments, they reformed once more. He was on a tall mountain. As the winds howled, Wang Lin stood silently at the top of the mountain, filled with sadness and loneliness. He looked ahead and there was melancholy hidden in his eyes. Although it was hidden, it was very strong and leaked out in his shadow. It landed in the eyes of a youth behind him. This youth wore coarse clothes. When he was behind his father, no matter how strong the wind was, the wind that landed on him became gentle. His father was like a mountain that supported his world. With his father there, he was not afraid of the mountain peak being too high or the wind too violent. With his father there, he wasn't afraid of anything. The youth looked at his father's back and said earnestly, "Dad, Ping Air will accompany you forever. We will never be apart." The last image in his mind collapsed, and his body collapsed along with it. The seven-colored lance howled and got closer and closer to Wang Lin. However, just at this moment, a voice came from the blue light that covered the hole in the sky. Eh. This voice appeared extremely abruptly, and not even the blue light could stop it. As this voice echoed into this world, the expression of the sovereign changed. His gaze that would never change even if heavens collapsed was filled with extreme fear. Even when Master Scarlet Soul appeared, he wasn't like this, but when he heard this one word, his mind almost collapsed and he subconsciously retreated. His face was filled with disbelief and fear so powerful, he couldn't even conceal it. Haha, this king finally found you. Damn it, you actually ditched this king won't allow it. In the blue light, the madman was holding half a chicken leg in his hand and had a smug gaze. He walked out from the blue light. When the madman appeared, a powerful golden light spread from his body. The expression of the sovereign changed. Even though he had cultivated for countless years, his mind collapsed. Mas! The sovereign almost lost his wits as he looked at the madman, and his face instantly turned pale. After the madman spoke, he saw Wang Lin and the seven-colored lance. With a bang, the lance shrouded Wang Lin in a seven-colored glow. The madman was startled for a moment and let out a shocking roar. Simply ignoring the sovereign, golden light shrouded him and stepped toward the seven-colored light. You can't die, you haven't played with this king yet. You promised to take me to a lot of places to play. The madman roared with madness in his eyes. He rushed into the seven-colored light and hugged Wang Lin's collapsing body. The seven-colored lance contained a destructive aura, and when the madman hugged Wang Lin, that destructive force erupted. What made the seven-colored lance so terrifying was that its power would erupt 7 times, and each time was stronger than the last. A series of violent rumbles echoed in a row, each time stronger than before. After 7 thunderous rumbles passed, the world trembled and the sky was torn open by force. Even the water below erupted, and this sealed world turned into fragments. The fragments scattered in all directions like a storm. This storm ripped open the world, ripped open space, and ripped open all existence. Then a black hole suddenly appeared. This black hole led to an unknown place, and it was pitch black. That madman had a complete celestial immortal body. During this collapse, his body had disintegrated several times. In the end, under the destructive force of the seven-colored lance, he held the unconscious Wang Lin, and the two were inhaled by the black hole. At this moment, as the sealed world collapsed, the sovereign's body became blurry. He stared at the black hole that had already dissipated and murmured to himself, "He really went mad. Really went mad. It must be him who gave the immortal celestial body to Wang Lin. If he didn't go mad, he would never have done this. He was seriously injured, and given his character from the past, he would never save anyone. He really went mad. He doesn't recognize me anymore." The sovereign relaxed and his body dissipated. Just as he was about to dissipate, a person silently walked out beside him. This person was Old Ghost John. The moment he appeared, he pointed at the sovereign's blurry figure. The sovereign suddenly turned his head, but he was in a trance and was caught off guard. It was too late to dodge now, and he let out a painful groan as his figure disappeared without a trace. Old Ghost John looked at where the black hole was and pondered. This sealed world had been created by many third-step cultivators in the outer realm. Even with the aura leaking from the hole as guidance, it still took him a bit to get here. A step late. It's unfortunate about that celestial blood. As for that madman, could it really be that person in his memory? I didn't think he had really gone mad. They were devoured by that black hole. The aura that came from the black hole was clearly the cave wall layer. One step in the celestial immortal, one step here. Old Ghost John shook his head and left. Planet Suzaku gave off a gentle light. From afar it looked peaceful. Only an invisible speck of dust collapsed and released a slight sound. That dust particle was the location of Wang Lin's calamity. After Old Ghost John disappeared, more and more ripples echoed around Planet Suzaku. Soon ripples covered the whole sky and figures anxiously walked out. Master Hongshan, Master South Cloud, Qing Lin, Qing Shui, etc. They didn't appear at once but one after another. Powerful divine senses swept the area until they locked onto the collapsed dust particle. Everyone silently pondered. They couldn't feel Wang Lin's aura. Just like when Wang Lin went missing back then, it was as if he was dead. Master Hongshan's eyes were filled with sorrow. After a long time he softly said, "He is not dead. The great battle is about to begin." The outer realm will spread this. Qing Lin let out a sigh as he looked at the collapsed dust particle. The image of Wang Lin from the past flashed before his eyes. Qing Shui looked up at the stars in the distance and his gaze became extremely cold. A killing essence aura spread out from his body and shrouded the area. I'll replace him and station myself at the Cloud Seas battle station. Qing Shui closed his eyes and his face gradually changed. Eventually, he took Wang Lin's appearance and even his cold temperament became similar to Wang Lin's. He gave up on finding his daughter and his freedom. He chose to take Wang Lin's appearance and become a symbol at the battle station in the Cloud Sea. Junior brother, I'll get revenge for you. As for everyone involved in this matter, if I have even the glimmer of a chance, I'll give it my all to get revenge for you. Qing Shui closed his eyes to hide his sorrow. Many people who had arrived here knew well that Wang Lin couldn't avoid this calamity. They knew the Outer Realm had planned for a long time to avoid their detection and launch his attack. It would be very difficult for Wang Lin to avoid it, and he was likely dead. As the silence continued, everyone gradually dispersed. However, the anger in their hearts burned brighter and brighter. Planet Suzaku in the distance still gave off a gentle light, as if it would stay like this forever. All the people Wang Lin was familiar with were still immersed in their own world. They still didn't know what had happened here. Zhou Wutai was still sitting on the Suzaku statue, silently drinking wine. In Imperial City in the country of Zhao, that old house and yard were still there. The tomb remained lonely, only that weeping and grieving figure was gone. Only a few empty wine jugs sat on the ground. There was no longer any wine from the Tsang family inside. Only the giant statue holding the heaven-splitting axe and looking at the sky remained. It seemed to become an eternal existence. Several days later, a cold-looking young man silently stood under the statue. He slowly knelt down and kowtowed as tears flowed down the corners of his eyes. Teacher, 13 will announce that he is your disciple when I'm in the limelight and under everyone's gazes. Several days later, a beautiful woman came with teary eyes and a slightly old tiger. She gently stroked the statue as her tears flowed down her cheeks and fell on the ground. Uncle, I'm Zhou. I'm little Ru heir. Several days later, a burly man laughed before the statue. He laughed and laughed until tears flowed down from his eyes. He held 2 jugs of wine as if he wanted to get drunk with the statue. After getting drunk, the burly man began to cry. If I didn't guide you down the path of cultivation, if we didn't meet back then, if I had taken away the heaven-defying beat back then, if you were still a naive teenager back then. Several days later, a gorgeous woman stood before the statue. She stood there for a long time. She looked at the statue as sun rose and set. After several cycles, she silently left. 2 drops of tears fell as she turned, shattering when they fell on the ground. She was Mu Bingmei. Several days later, a woman wearing a pink, water-patterned skirt arrived on planet Suzaku looking exhausted. She looked at the statue and recalled the past. Lord doesn't know me, but I know Lord. Several days later, several months later, the passage of time seemed to be forgotten like the void. There was no beginning or end, only 2 broken bodies. This place was a dark void with no life or objects. The silence here seemed to have existed forever. In this void, there was a faint blood-colored light that formed a circle. Inside this circle, Wang Lin's body was collapsing on a wide scale. It was covered in scars. Beside him, the madman's eyes were closed, but his face was ashen. There were no injuries on his body, but there was 7-colored light between his eyebrows. The 7-colored lance couldn't hurt the madman's immortal body, but it could hurt his soul, which had become unprotected after the serious injury from the past. This blood circle of light was formed by the drop of golden blood that Wang Lin held in his hand. As the light gently surrounded them, Wang Lin struggled to open his eyes. He didn't know how long he had been asleep, but he knew that he would only be awake for a short period of time. Feeling bitter, Wang Lin saw the unconscious madman and his gaze became gentle. He let out a sigh and barely managed to raise his hand. Only after waving several times did he manage to open his storage space. 3 Dao fruits floated out and he inhaled. The 3 fruits turned into 3 rays of light and entered Wang Lin's mouth with their unimaginably chaotic Dao intent. Wang Lin's eyes revealed the strongest light at the end of his life. His left hand grabbed the madman and then his right index finger pointed toward the area between his own eyebrows. Dream Dao. Using what's left of his power, he used the third original spell he had made, Dream Dao. Using his own Dream Dao to dream of thousands of years ago. In that dream he would complete his life and death, karma, and true and false essences. His right hand dropped and Wang Lin closed his eyes. Little brother, wake up. Alas, how are you so drunk? I'm going to clean up, please wake up. On the side of the road in a humble restaurant, a waiter in green helplessly pushed a drunk young man on the table. This is really a scholar, so drunk after just 2 cups. The waiter pushed harder. Heaven is an inn for all living things. Time is the hundreds of passing travelers. And being born into a dream such a joy or joy of dream. Good poem, good poem. The young man had an intoxicated gaze as he looked at the waiter and giggled. Let me tell you, I had dream. I dreamt I was an immortal. Then the young man fell onto the ground and began snoring. The early morning sunlight gently scattered over the earth. The sky was clear and the feather-like clouds were spread across the sky. As the sunlight hit the clouds at the dawn of the day, there was a faint orange light. From afar it looked like a dreamlike world. Smoke and the sound of dogs barking came from the inn on the corner. These things didn't feel out of place. It was as if this was how everything should be. The few dogs raised by the shop were playing with each other and running around, shaking their tails. Shortly after, the sound of horseshoes hitting the ground came from the distance. In the distance, dust was being kicked up as several horses galloped by. Sitting on top of the horses were several burly men wearing robes. They all had serious expressions as they galloped by. As they approached, the dogs whimpered and avoided the road. The horses quickly passed by with the wind. Perhaps the sound of the horses was so loud that it caused the ground outside the inn to tremble, and even the inn itself seemed to tremble. This inn was very humble and seemed to have existed for a long time. As it trembled, it emitted sounds as if it couldn't withstand this trembling. Cries of shock came from the second floor of the inn. Don't worry. This old man's shop has been here for over 100 years, and this happens every time horses rush by. It won't collapse. An ancient voice echoed across the inn. In the corner of the hall sat a small old man wearing coarse clothes. He held a pipe in his hand and leisurely smoked it. Opposite him, the waiter from last night put a towel over his shoulder and brought a kettle of hot water to the guests in the rooms on the second floor. At this moment, in the rightmost room on the second floor, there was a young man still wearing his clothes lying on the bed. The entire room was filled with the smell of alcohol. As the horses passed by and the room trembled, the young man slowly opened his eyes. He placed his hand on his forehead and looked around in a daze. Alas, greed is wrong. How did I drink so much wine? The young man looked 18 or 19 years old. He was slender and plain-looking, and he gave off the aura of a scholar. He put on a bitter smile and his head hurt as he stood up holding the side of his bed. He staggered to the table and poured himself a cup of cold tea. Only after drinking it did he feel slightly better. It looks like I have to be careful in the future about getting drunk. I lost consciousness last night. If I only lost my silver, that would be small, but if I lost my life... The young man sighed and drank a few more cups of cold tea. Just at this moment, a knocking sound came from the door and the voice of the waiter echoed. Hot water. Does guests want any? The young man quickly got up. He seemed to have stood up too fast and became dizzy again. He barely managed to speak. Come in. The door opened with a creak and the waiter walked in with the kettle. After filling the basin with hot water, he looked back at the young man and smiled. I have been a waiter here for 3 days. I have never seen anyone get drunk from the rice wine here after only 2 cups. Last night, no matter how much I pushed you, you wouldn't wake up, and I had to bring you up here to rest. Little brother is not good with alcohol, so you need to practice. I heard that all the officials at the capital can drink 1,000 cups without falling. The young man's face turned slightly right and his eyes became filled with gratitude. He got up and clasped his hands. Thank brother for your care. I don't know what went wrong either. The first cup felt fine, but once the second cup entered my stomach, I fell on the ground drunk. The waiter grinned, and as he was leaving with the kettle, he had a playful smile. He looked at the young man and said, You're coming here to test for an official position, right? When you were drunk last night, You said you had a dream where you became an immortal. Haha, what you said was very interesting. If you have time, come talk to me again, it was very fun. As they spoke, the waiter walked out with a gentle smile. The young man's face turned flushed and he shook his head bitterly. After the waiter left, the young man washed his face with hot water and washed away a lot of the drunkenness from last night. He opened the window and the cool wind came in along with the bright sunshine. This wind felt very good when it blew on his face. It made the young man let out a deep breath. The young man stood by the window and looked outside as he muttered to himself, "After getting drunk last night, I really had a dream. That dream was very strange, and I haven't forgotten any of it. That dream was very realistic, almost impossible to separate from reality. It actually started 3 years ago when fourth uncle arrived. I joined the Hengyu sect. It was interesting, but the dream didn't seem to finish and I only remember joining the Hengyu sect." Hengyu sect? How could such a sect exist? How can there be immortals? Scholars like me don't believe in the power of ghosts. It is mostly rumors to fool people. The young man shook his head and looked at the cup on the table. His childish heart showed as he formed the seal from his memory and pointed at the cup. Attraction spell. The young man smiled and pointed at the cup. That cup didn't move at all, it just calmly stayed there. The young man laughed and muttered, "These spells are very interesting." After playing around for a bit, the young man cleared his mind and tidied up his things. His clothes, money, dried food, pen, ink, and books were all there. Then he carefully cleaned the room and waited for the smell of wine to dissipate before he changed into clean clothes. Then he put the bamboo backpack on his back and walked out of the room. He had been very smart ever since he was young, but his personality was very simple. He grew up in a mountain village, and this was his first time leaving home. The kind gaze of his parents followed him as he left the mountain village. He was like a baby bird that was going to spread his wings. This room had become dirty and smelled of alcohol due to him. He'd rather clean it up himself than let the waiter who had carried him up here do it. He simply ate some food on the first floor and paid his bills. Then he smiled at the waiter before he left, facing the sun. The gentle light fell on his body and filled the young man with sunshine as well. He gave off a very comfortable feeling, and people couldn't help but feel affection toward him. His clean clothes and neat attire were filled with vitality. Walking along the official road, he looked ahead, and he could faintly see the faraway capital of the country of Zhao. "Wang Lin, you can definitely do it. When I get a title, I'll bring my parents out from the mountain village, serve them until they grow old, and let them enjoy happiness." The young man took a deep breath and walked forward. The spring breeze blew by and brought the fragrance of flowers toward him. Wang Lin's clothes fluttered in the wind as he gradually walked further and further from the inn. The sound of the dogs barking was scattered by the wind and sent into some unknown place. The scattered sound slowly became fainter. A young man at 18 or 19 would often not know what tiredness was. As Wang Lin walked down the official road, his eyes were nimble. From time to time, he would stop and look at the surrounding mountain and forest as if it was very comfortable. The daylight passed by quickly. As Wang Lin leisurely walked down the road, the trees were no longer dense and soon a river revealed itself. The sound of the river rushing came with the wind. In Zhao, there were several official roads that traveled with the waterways. Just like how on the left side of Wang Lin were mountains, and not far on his right was a river. There were several boats flowing down the river. The horizon gradually grew dark and dark clouds began to gather. Thunder rumbled in the distance and lightning moved within the dark clouds. They looked like silver snakes. The sky was clear during the day, but before night even arrived, clouds filled the sky and became unpredictable. The green mountains in the distance became dark due to the dark clouds. Although the clouds were dark, they couldn't completely cover the mountains. From afar, the mountain and the clouds seemed to be battling. The mountain wanted to pierce the clouds, but the clouds wanted to devour the mountain. It was like a battle of a dragon and a tiger. At this moment, the sound of thunder echoed and rain started to fall. Wang Lin quickly ran to a tree and took out a large umbrella from his bamboo backpack. This umbrella was skillfully made by his father and could be folded. Once opened, it could not only cover his bamboo backpack, but also his body under the umbrella. Holding the umbrella in his right hand, Wang Lin looked at the mountain in the distance that the dark clouds couldn't cover. He looked at the rain as it fell to the earth, fell on the leaves, fell on the surface of the river, creating ripples, and fell on the surface of the boats. The old saying goes, "The black clouds are like black ink that can cover the mountains, the white rain jumps like beads into the boat." It turned out to be true. Wang, the young girl, was wearing a bright green dress and looked very beautiful. The pole of the umbrella looked like a tree trunk, and even the canopy looked like leaves. The thin lines looked like the veins of the leaves. Overall, it was very strange. The girl's skin was pink and very beautiful. With her eyebrows locked and her eyes glaring, she gave off a different sense of beauty. At this moment, the rain curtain was dividing the girl and Wang Lin as the raindrops fell into the river, splattering everywhere. As the rain fell, the sky and earth seemed to become one. Even the green mountains in the distance no longer looked like anything but part of the scenery. As Wang Lin looked at all of this, his face suddenly turned red. This was the first time he had left the mountain village, and he had never seen a girl this pretty. Comparing his playmates in the village to this girl was like comparing mortals to immortals. The girl originally had a gloomy expression, but after seeing Wang Lin stare at her and then turn red, she couldn't help but smile. Her mind like the weather, always changing. "Hey bookworm, you've seen enough." The girl smiled and even her voice sounded like crisp bells. It swirled within the rain and entered Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin's face, which was filled with a scholarly aura, became even more red, to the point that even the bases of his ears were red. He quickly bowed at the girl on the boat. "It was rude, I hope lady won't mind." The girl's laughter echoed. Looking at Wang Lin's silly expression, she was about to speak when a soft and gentle voice came from inside the boat. "Junior sister." As the voice echoed, the corner of the canopy of the boat was opened by a jade-like hand, revealing the girl's delicate figure. When the girl's face entered Wang Lin's eyes, the rain in the world seemed to pause. A purple dress and eyes as bright as the moon. It was as if her appearance had caused the world to lose all color, as if her appearance had sucked all the light from the world. It was as if she was the only thing that existed in this world. She was very beautiful, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. They seemed to contain sadness, exhaustion, and hesitation. Anyone who saw these eyes would feel pity rise in their heart. They also contained a hint of annoyance as she looked at the girl in green. The girl in green smiled and pulled the girl in purple. She pointed at Wang Lin and her voice was like a songbird. "Senior sister, this scholar is really rude. First, he spoke rudely and then stared at me. But he looks kind of dumb and is interesting." The girl in purple smiled and her gaze followed the rain toward Wang Lin, who was hiding from the rain on the shore. When she saw him, she was startled for a moment. After taking a closer look, there was a flash of confusion in her eyes. "I feel like I've seen him somewhere before." Wang Lin's face became even more red as he was being watched by these two women. He coughed a few times and clasped his hands once more, not knowing what to say. He quickly turned away to look at the mountain and dark clouds to calm his rapidly beating heart. Wang Lin, you have read so many books, how can you look at two girls like that? It's best to be calm. Once the rain stops, I should continue on my way." Wang Lin took a deep breath of the rainy air and slowly calmed his heart. The girl in purple looked at Wang Lin for a moment and softly said, "Sir, I fear that the rain will last through the night until tomorrow. Since it is fate we meet, how about you come aboard and take shelter from the rain? There will be a place to stay at the next station." Although her words were light, they penetrated the rain and spread out. "This?" Wang Lin hesitated for a bit and looked up at the sky. The dark clouds were covering the sky and the rain didn't seem like it would stop anytime soon. It might really last the night. "We are allowing you take shelter on our boat from the rain with good intentions and you still hesitate? Do you think we will eat you or something?" The girl in the bright green dress saw Wang Lin hesitate and stared at him. "Junior sister." The girl in purple looked helplessly at the girl in green. Wang Lin smiled bitterly and nodded as he picked up his bamboo backpack. He held the umbrella as he walked through the muddy path toward the shore. The water and soil had fused together. As his steps fell, mud dyed the edge of his pants. The rain had made the ground slippery, and the shore was a bit slanted. While walking toward the riverbank, Wang Lin slipped and was about to fall. A burst of fragrance flowed into his nose and Wang Lin's falling body was supported by a delicate body. It was the girl in purple. Her feet gently kicked off the ground and jumped in a beautiful arc onto the boat with Wang Lin. "Many thanks, my lady." Wang Lin stood on the boat, his face bright red. "Sir, you don't need to be polite. Please sit." The girl in purple loosened her hand and sat down with a giggle. The girl in green put away her umbrella and sat down next to the girl in purple and began to observe Wang Lin. Wang Lin's heart pounded. From his birth to now, he had never been this nervous. He sat opposite of the two girls after putting down his bamboo backpack. His forehead was already covered in sweat from embarrassment. "Sir, you don't need to be nervous." When the girl in purple saw Wang Lin's appearance, she smiled. She raised her hand and lit up the candle. The fire flashed and lit up the room. The more the girl in green looked at Wang Lin's expression, the more interesting she found him. This caused Wang Lin to feel even more embarrassed. "This scholar is named Wang Lin. I greet you two ladies. Thank you for allowing me to stay on the boat." Wang Lin took a deep breath before he got up and clasped his hands at the two girls. The boat leisurely floated down the river as the rain fell. Although the three were sheltered from the rain, the sound of the rain hitting the canopy could still be heard. The sound of the rain hitting the boat and the river gradually fused together into a wonderful spring song. From afar, as the sky darkened, the boat gradually became hidden inside the rain. A gentle light came from the boat and gave off an inexplicable sense of warmth in the cold spring rain. Wang Lin. Why do I feel like I have seen him somewhere before? Even his name feels very familiar. The girl in purple looked at Wang Lin and the confusion from before appeared again. "Eh? Your name is Wang Lin? I feel like I've heard that name before." The girl in green carefully looked at Wang Lin and pondered. The girl in green thought for a long time and finally raised her head. She smiled at Wang Lin and said with her beautiful voice, "Strange, I don't think I have ever seen you before and I've never heard your name before. My name is Su Fei, and this is my senior sister Zhou. As for her name, you should ask yourself." Su Fei winked, looking very cute. "This one is named Zhou Rui," the girl in purple said softly. There was still confusion in her eyes, especially since even Su Fei felt that Wang Lin's name was familiar. She just couldn't figure out why. As time passed and the clouds in the sky thinned, the moon would sometimes appear but would soon be covered again. The rain became stronger and stronger and the sound of raindrops falling replaced everything. The wind blew in moisture and caused the candle fire to wobble. Wang Lin felt cold, but he saw that the two girls looked normal, as if they hadn't noticed the cold wind at all. The rain rattled and the world outside the curtain was dark. As Wang Lin looked, he suddenly entered a trance. In the dark night and quiet river, it felt like this boat was the only thing that remained. The two beautiful girls in the boat gave off a feeling that none of this was real. Wang Lin's body felt cold during his trance. His vision blurred and he felt sleepy, but he held himself back. He leaned against the wall and slowly said, "You two ladies refer to each other as junior and senior sister." Lady Zhou also leaped onto the boat carrying me. "You two must be experts in the martial arts world." "We are not people from the martial arts world. You are really interesting, Bookworm. We are people who cultivate toward immortality, real immortals." The vague voice seemed to come from farther and farther away as Wang Lin became even more sleepy. He faintly felt as if someone was speaking about the Hengyu sect. "Am I dreaming again?" Wang Lin closed his eyes and passed out. The boat shook gently and even the candlestick shook. The girl in green looked at the girl in purple with a confused expression. "Senior sister, he is only immortal. Why did you use a spell to make him sleep?" The girl in purple looked at the sleeping Wang Lin. After a long time, she softly said, "I must have seen this person before. However, I just can't remember where. Even you said his name sounded familiar." "Wang Lin." "Wang Lin?" The girl in the bright green dress frowned and there was also confusion in her eyes. A moment later, the girl in purple shook her head and sighed. "Forget it, let's not think about this matter. Perhaps we met in a previous life." "Previous life?" The girl in the green dress laughed and looked at the dark sky outside. "Senior sister, it's about time. We have to go meet with Wang Zhua." This time the sect master noticed a golden light from the east and calculated that a treasure might be born. A lot of sects might go searching. Although our cultivation levels aren't high enough to participate, it will be a good experience. The girl in purple gently nodded and got up with the girl in green. Just as they were about to leave, she turned to look at Wang Lin as if she wanted to engrave his appearance in her heart. Just as she was about to leave, The girl in purple hesitated for a moment. The girl in green had already left the boat and was flying using the attraction spell. "Senior sister, let us go." The girl's voice echoed through the rain. The girl looked at Wang Lin's body that was trembling and shrunk into a corner and silently walked over. Her jade-like hand touched her bag of holding and a thick coat appeared in her grasp. She gently covered Wang Lin with the coat and murmured, "Is it really in the past life?" The girl sighed and left. The rain became more and more intense. The rain fell as the lonely boat floated on the river, giving off an inexplicable feeling. This was the aura of loneliness. Ripples echoed in the water as the boat drifted down the river. The boat gradually went further and further away, and gradually disappeared into the lonely night. Only the faint lamp in the boat could still be seen wobbling in the darkness. From afar, the wobbling fire from the boat was like a lonely leaf floating down the river as it gradually sailed to the end of a dream. The sound of rain hitting the boat continued, but Wang Lin was having a sweet dream under the canopy. The coat around his body had a faint fragrance that entered his nose and was brought into his dream. Su Fei, Senior Sister Josie, Wang Zhuo, Wang Hao, Zhang Hu, Wang Lin murmured in his sleep. If those two girls hadn't left and heard Wang Lin's words, they would be shocked. But now they couldn't hear him. Wang Lin's dream was like another life. In that dream, he saw Su Fei in the Hengyu sect and also Senior Sister Zhou. On the mountain of the Hengyu sect, there was also a white bird that flashed by. After a long time, the little candle flame gradually extinguished and became one with the night. The rain stopped early in the morning. The horizon gradually brightened, but it hadn't completely scattered the darkness. The world was still dim, and it seemed to make people's mood dim as well. The rain overnight had caused the river to rise a bit higher. Although it was difficult to notice with the naked eye, the shore of the river made it very obvious. The rain fell on the soil and formed large amounts of mud that flowed into the river. A boat slowly floated down the river and got closer and closer to the shore. In the end, the boat ran into the mud on the shore and stopped. Inside the canopy, Wang Lin's head hit the wall of the boat when it hit the shore. He opened his eyes in pain and confusion as he slowly remembered what happened last night. However, looking around, the two girls from before were gone without a trace. Last night was like a dream. The beautiful figures of those two girls lingered in Wang Lin's mind. Was it an illusion? Wang Lin was confused and looked at the coat covering him. It obviously belonged to a girl. He gradually awakened. However, in his mind, aside from the two girls' figures, there was also that extremely real dream. He saw those two girls in that dream. All of this confused Wang Lin greatly. The candlestick had extinguished a while ago. This made the inside of the canopy barely visible. After a long time, Wang Lin walked out from the canopy and looked at the dim world. The surroundings were hazy, so he couldn't see too far. The wind blew by, and while it was cold, it also allowed him to smell the fragrance of the soil. He let out a deep breath. Could it really have been a dream? Wang Lin stood at the bow. After the rain stopped, the area was extremely silent. This silence made it seem as if Wang Lin was the only one left in this world. Looking around, Wang Lin felt a sense of loneliness spreading from his body for some unknown reason. As he looked at the dim sky, this sense of loneliness became even stronger. The wind blew by, causing his black hair to flutter behind him. The wind couldn't flatten the folds on his clothes. A bit cold. Wang Lin lowered his head. He didn't know why that sense of loneliness had suddenly become so strong. This loneliness made him think of home, of his parents, of everything. And also of that woman he couldn't seem to remember. It seemed like an invisible force had gathered in his body and caused two streams of tears to flow. Why would I cry? Wang Lin raised his hand and wiped away a drop of tear that was like a drop of rain. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with endless sadness and sorrow that he didn't even notice himself. What's wrong with me? Wang Lin lowered his head and sat down, ignoring the wet surface of the boat. In the serenity of the dawn, tears fell and fused with the wet surface of the boat. This feeling, like he was the only one left in the world, was very familiar to him. It was as if he had felt like this for a long time. Walking silently through the world and savoring this sense of loneliness by himself, Wang Lin gradually entered a trance as if there was an abyss before him. This abyss had endless suction force that seemed to be able to drag the sky down into it. Deep inside the abyss there was a crack, and a lonely figure sat inside. That place was also very quiet, with only the sound of the suction force. The lonely figure had its back toward him. Although Wang Lin couldn't see the face of the figure, he could feel the loneliness and sadness from the figure. In a trance, he saw a young man wearing white with white hair silently walking through the stars. His figure also gave off a sense of loneliness. He saw a lot, and the tears from his eyes gradually fell. This sadness came from his soul and this world. It was as if this world was his soul, his dream. At this moment, he found this familiar sense of silence and loneliness here. Under the dim sky, Wang Lin looked at the water for a long time. It wasn't until the cold wind blew by again, causing him to feel very cold, that he subconsciously lifted his left hand and pointed at the candlestick not far away. The candle slowly ignited. Wang Lin didn't even realize this himself. His eyes were filled with sadness and the sorrow that came from nowhere as if it was eternal. In this silence and dimness, the burning candlestick slowly lit up the surrounding area as it flickered. Although it was weak, it gave off a sense of warmth as it struggled to burn. Looking from far away, the figure on the boat gave off a sense of desolation. As time passed, the sky gradually light up. The darkness scattered from the earth, river, and boat. The surroundings gradually cleared up, and the what was in the distance became clear. Only the rolling black clouds still moved through the sky. A bird that was like a dot flew off from the mountain and rushed into the black clouds. After piercing through, it flew around a few times before it flew toward Wang Lin. Soon, the bird closed in and Wang Lin raised his head to look at the white bird. The white bird seemed to look down at Wang Lin. Wang Lin could notice a detectable trace of sadness, and that startled him as the bird disappeared into the distance. When the bird left, the sorrow in Wang Lin's heart slowly dissipated. The fire on the candlestick slowly extinguished. "What's wrong with me?" Wang Lin seemed to have awakened and stared at the drop of tear that was still on his finger. He watched as the crystal drop of tear fall. After a long time, Wang Lin stood up and packed up his things with that confusion and inexplicable sadness. He put the girl's coat in his backpack and walked off the boat. The moment he walked off the boat, he looked back at the boat before walking off into the distance. However, just at this moment, a howl came from the rolling clouds in the distance. The moment this shocking sound rang out, Wang Lin subconsciously looked up and saw an unimaginable scene. Rays of light that seemed to be able to pierce the heavens flashed through the black clouds. One of the rays of light suddenly stopped above Wang Lin, revealing a woman wearing blue. She looked down and her gaze met Wang Lin's gaze. Confusion appeared in her eyes. A handsome young man walked out from the other ray of light and gently asked, "What's wrong, junior sister Lu?" "Nothing, I feel like I have seen that scholar somewhere before." The woman shook her head and flew off into the distance. "A mere mortal. We should quickly go meet with teacher and go to the place that released the golden light." The young man looked at Wang Lin before withdrawing his gaze and looking at the woman. Wang Lin stared at the sky and the two rays of light disappearing into the distance. "Who is she?" Very familiar, Wang Lin murmured, feeling a sting of pain in his heart. This fused with the inexplicable sadness and turned into a strange force that caused Wang Lin's breathing to become rushed and his face to turn pale. His body staggered and he retreated a few steps as his gaze toward the horizon collapsed. His right hand pressed against his chest where the stinging pain was coming from. The pain washed over him like a tide. It was an unspeakable pain, as if his heart was being torn apart, and a sense of melancholy surfaced. All of this came from the woman that flew through the sky. The woman seemed to exist in Wang Lin's mind for countless years, but the thoughts accompanying that figure were very complicated. After a long time, a tinge of color returned to Wang Lin's face. He breathed heavily and closed his eyes. So immortals really exist. Then is my dream really a dream? Wang Lin silently pondered as he stood on the damp dirt after the rain. It wasn't until the sky was completely bright that he opened his eyes in a daze and silently walked forward. Did I dream of an immortal, or did an immortal dream of me? Wang Lin didn't understand. It was as if that drunken dream before had changed the trajectory of his life. Wang Lin stepped onto the main road and walked toward the capital once more. He no longer had the urge to observe his surroundings but silently walked with the bamboo backpack on his back. His footsteps caused crunching sounds to echo as he walked. The sun rose, the sun set. Wang Lin walked along the official road the entire day. When he was tired, he would sit on the side and take out some dried food to eat. After resting a bit, he would continue on. When the sounds of horses and carriages would drift in from the distance, Wang Lin would dodge to the side. Only after the carriages or horses passed would he return to the road. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. During these 7 days, Wang Lin's weak body gradually became stronger. From sunrise to sunset, Wang Lin walked on the road. If there was an inn on the road, he would rest. Or if he could see smoke from a village during sunset, then it would be even better. Wang Lin found it more comfortable than staying in an inn. However, most of the time, Wang Lin would have the illusion that he was the only one left in the world after the sun had set. He would find some shade along the road and cover himself in thick clothes. Then he would count the stars in the sky as he thought of the warmth of his home and his parents as he slowly fell asleep. The fire he had started crackled before him and gradually extinguished. The smoke rose into the air and seemed to fuse with the sky. The wind in the night was cold and would often wake Wang Lin up. Every time he woke up, he would look at the silent surroundings. He felt very familiar with this darkness, and he wasn't afraid. Instead, his head was calm as he looked around before falling back asleep again. This was the rainy season in the country of Zhao. Even if the rain stopped, the sky would be covered in dense clouds and thunder would echo. The rain would often stop for half a day before falling again. On the dusk of the 8th day, Wang Lin propped up his umbrella and rushed forward with a wry smile. The rain fell outside his umbrella and thunder rumbled. Although it was only dusk, the sky was already dark. One more day of travel and I'll reach the capital, but this rain is getting more and more intense. Water covered the ground, so as the rain fell, drops of water would bounce off the ground and land his clothes. His green robe became soaked and constantly suck away the heat in his body. This slowly made Wang Lin feel very cold. When the moist wind blew, the coldness was bone-chilling. Wang Lin shivered and placed his umbrella to mostly cover his bamboo backpack. There were books and dried food inside, along with his replacement clothes. Those things couldn't be drenched. Wang Lin quickly walked through the rain and looked around for some place to take shelter. In the distance, he vaguely saw the shape of a house. He didn't have time to look closely, but Wang Lin propped his umbrella and walked closer. When he got closer, he saw that it was an abandoned temple. Creaking sounds echoed in this rainy night, giving off a sinister feeling as it entered one's ears. The temple wasn't large and was broken. There were 2 doors to the temple, with one closed. The red paint on the door had faded and the ring on the door was covered in rust. Rain gathered on the rusted ring and dripped down. The other temple door was broken badly. Although it was still slightly connected to the frame, it could no longer be closed. It constantly rocked under the wind and rain, giving off the creaking sound Wang Lin was hearing. As wind and rain became larger, the door rocked even more violently as if it was going to be blown off the frame. Wang Lin quickly walked closer and looked at the temple before walking in. The yard of the temple was covered in gravel and weeds. The wind and rain caused the weeds to bend, and the rattling of the rain mixed in with the creaking door. There was a flash of lightning followed by rumbling thunder that lit up the world, allowing Wang Lin to see everything inside the temple. Wang Lin exclaimed and subconsciously took a few steps back. He saw several white skeletons at the edge of the temple. His heart pounded and his face turned pale, but the rain was getting heavier. He clenched his teeth and ignored the bones of the people that had died here an unknown amount of years ago as he walked into the temple. A large statue dozens of feet tall was inside the temple. It was impossible to see its appearance, and its color had long faded. It was broken everywhere. There was water inside the temple. Many of the roof tiles were broken, so rain fell in, causing a lot of water to gather in the ground. A cold aura surrounded this temple. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his face turned pale. He first bowed toward statue before finding a place without water to place his bamboo backpack. Then he placed some dried branches before him and tried to light them. These branches weren't completely dry, so Wang Lin failed to light them up after many attempts. His body was very cold and he trembled as he attempted to light them again. However, just at this moment, a bolt of thunder exploded inside the temple. The resulting rumble caused Wang Lin's hands to shake. A huge shadow appeared and surrounded the area. Who? Wang Lin suddenly looked up, suppressing the shock in his heart, and looked at the door. His voice was very loud, almost a roar. Just as the thunder dispersed, it caused the person who was about to enter the temple to tremble in fear. "Who?" A frightening voice came from outside. A middle-aged man wearing rags who seemed to have just climbed out of the water took a few steps back before falling over. After taking a closer look at Wang Lin inside the temple, the middle-aged man relaxed a bit. He quickly entered the temple and glared at Wang Lin. Then he vigorously patted his chest and roared at Wang Lin. "You scared me." Wang Lin was startled for a moment and revealed a wry smile. He relaxed and then clasped his hands at the middle-aged man and apologized. "The night was dark and I couldn't see clearly. The thunder also came too suddenly, so I hope brother won't mind." The middle-aged man snorted, and after muttering for a bit, he no longer paid attention to Wang Lin. He sat down on the side and reached into his sleeve to take out half of a wet chicken leg. While looking at it, he burst into tears. His cry was extremely sad in this rainy night, and this caused Wang Lin to feel a chill. Wang Lin moved further away and finally lit up the branches before him. Under the flickering fire, everything inside the temple became more clear. The middle-aged man cried and cried as he took a bite of the wet chicken leg before he started to grin. Then he let out a loud laugh which startled Wang Lin. "A madman!" Wang Lin moved further away. If not for the rain outside, he would have chosen to leave. Although this was next to the official road, if a madman appeared in the middle of a rainy night, it was still chilling. The middle-aged man laughed and laughed before crying again. "They don't care about me, they don't care about me. I can't remember who I am." His cries filled the temple and made Wang Lin feel pity. He turned to look at the madman and sighed. The lifelike dream before one awakens. Life is like a play, but who am I? Dreaming is living and waking up is dying, or the dream is dying and waking up is living. The moments of closing and opening the eyes are the moments of life and death, or perhaps it is when one can't separate the real and fake lives. This life is a reincarnation cycle, and perhaps it is also a karmic cycle. However, when will I awaken? Wang Lin murmured. Then confusion filled his eyes. During these days, his dreams had caused him to become confused. As he thought for the past 7 days, he vaguely felt something. With a sigh, Wang Lin took out dried food from his backpack and looked at the fire before him. He listened to the rain outside the temple and began to silently eat the dried food. The rain leisurely fell from the sky, shrouding the mountain, the earth, and the temple. In this temple, next to the fire, 2 dream souls that didn't seem to belong to this world entered. One looked at the fire and one gnawed at the chicken leg. The statue between the 2 of them had an elusive smile as if it was looking at the 2 of them die in a trance. Wang Lin looked to the fire, but he was interrupted by the sound of swallowing saliva. He looked around to see the middle-aged man not far away looking at the dried food in his hand. The middle-aged man constantly licked his lips and revealed a pitiful look. Looking at the man, Wang Lin smiled. At this moment, he didn't feel like the middle-aged man was a stranger, he just felt pity. "Here you go." Wang Lin took out dried food from his bamboo backpack and passed it to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's eyes widened, and after swallowing his saliva, he rushed over. He grabbed the dried food and devoured it in just 2 bites. Delicious, delicious. This king hasn't eaten for several days. Why do I call myself king? The middle-aged man frozen for a moment and shook his head. He no longer thought about it and looked pitifully at Wang Lin. Wang Lin took out a few more pieces of dried food and handed them over. He softly asked, "What's your name? Why are you here? Where is your family?" The middle-aged man gave him an unspeakable reason. The more he made contact with this middle-aged man, the stronger the feeling became. It was as if they knew each other before, and now there was a feeling of guilt in his heart. The middle-aged man took the dried food and was about to eat. He was startled by Wang Lin's words and then began to cry as he looked at the dried food in his hand. "I don't know what my name is. When I woke up, I was in the mountains. I can't think of anything. Golden light, I remember waking up surrounded by golden light and a lot of people trying to catch up. Humph, but they can't find me." The middle-aged man cried and his voice became blurry. Wang Lin's gaze became even more gentle. Seeing the man devouring his dried food, which he didn't have much of left, in a few bites again. He shook his head and smiled. He then took out his water pouch and handed it to the madman. The middle-aged man drank a few big mouthfuls and then let out a hiccup. He looked at the smiling Wang Lin and handed over the chicken leg and had in his hand. "Here you go. This chicken leg is not tasty anymore." Wang Lin smiled and took the chicken leg. He didn't eat it but wrapped it and placed it inside his backpack. The rain outside the temple became even heavier, with the thunder rumbling and lightning flashing. The temple's door continued to swing with the wind and would sometimes hit the wall. Aside from the creaking sounds, there was now also the sound of the door banging on the wall. The entire world became dark, with only the fire in the temple leaking out. It was a faint light in this dark world. Wang Lin and the middle-aged man sat next to the fire. Warmth slowly appeared within their wet clothes. Wang Lin looked at the fire and softly said, "Perhaps it's good to not know who you are. Sometimes even if you know who you are, you can't help but think you're in someone else's dream. I have been dreaming a lot lately, and that dream is so real. I can't separate it from reality." The middle-aged man drank a mouthful of water and murmured as he shook his head. "Says who? Try to think of how painful it is not knowing who you are. Humph, if it was me it wouldn't matter if it was a dream as long as I'm happy. As long as I'm happy, it's all good." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The man's words touched him. "As long as I'm happy, then it's all good. My dream is to pass the imperial exam so that my parents can have a good life and not be looked down upon by our relatives." Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time and then nodded. Wang Lin looked up. He put more dried branches into the fire and asked, "What are you? What are your dreams?" The middle-aged man yawned and seemed sleepy. When he heard Wang Lin, he suddenly became spirited and began speaking excitedly. "Me, I have many dreams. I want a lot of spirit stones. I want a lot of silver. I want a lot of delicious food." As he spoke, he swallowed. "What is a spirit stone?" Wang Lin was startled. "Spirit stone?" I said spirit stone. But what is spirit stone?" The middle-aged man was also startled. He scratched his head and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit and then smiled. He didn't question more and began to talk with the madman. The two of them seemed to have endless words to say to each other. The madman was originally sleepy, but the more he spoke, the more excited he became. He didn't know why, but Wang Lin gave him a warming feeling like a relative. The wind outside howled and would occasionally blow into the temple, causing the fire to flicker. It would also bring in a chill, but it no longer made the two of them feel cold. Even the elusive smile from the statue behind them slowly softened. A sense of warmth shrouded the temple and dispersed the coldness here. It was late into the night, but not only had the rain not stopped, it had become even stronger. The fire before Wang Lin slowly weakened because dried branches weren't added, so it seemed like it could go out at any moment. "I'll tell you a secret. I have never told this secret to anyone else," the middle-aged man said to Wang Lin mysteriously. Wang Lin looked at him and nodded with a smile. He revealed a look of interest. The middle-aged man stretched out his right hand before Wang Lin. Look here. What do you see?" The middle-aged man pointed at his right wrist and became even more smug. However, aside from it being dirty, there was nothing there. Wang Lin looked at it for a while and bitterly shook his head. You can't see anything? Impossible, wait and let me go wash." The middle-aged man quickly ran to some water in the temple and washed his right arm. Then he returned to Wang Lin, raised his right hand again and mysteriously whispered, "You see it now?" Wang Lin's expression turned strange and he shook his head again. He indeed didn't see anything. The middle-aged man became furious and roared at Wang Lin. "Take a closer look, widen your eyes and take a look." How can you not see? You liar, you clearly see it." Wang Lin rubbed his forehead and held the middle-aged man's right hand before his eyes. After looking for a bit, he smiled and nodded. "I see it, I indeed see it. I'm good, right? I'm going to find this person. He should know me." The middle-aged man sat on the side and looked at his arm. He slowly went into a daze. "I need to find him. I faintly have a feeling that he promised to take care of me. He promised to take me to play, but he left. No one is left to care about me. I'm the only one left. I'm going to find him. I have to find him." As he muttered, His expression dimmed and he curled up as he looked at his arm. His voice grew weaker until he fell asleep. Wang Lin let out a sigh and got up to take out a thick cloth. Not caring that the middle-aged man was dirty, Wang Lin placed his cloth over him. This seemed to disturb the middle-aged man, who grabbed the cloth and turned before falling back to sleep. His right arm was facing Wang Lin. Wang Lin sat next to the fire and watched the gradually weakening flames. He silently pondered in this silent temple with the rain still falling outside. His heart was no longer confused. Dreams were only dreams, nothing would change. Even if this was just a dream, he was still going to be happy. He was still going to walk forward with determination. Let's just say that dream is my other life. Although that life was wonderful and even magnificent, the sadness and loneliness from that dream makes one's heart ache. Wang Lin seemed to gain an understanding of some things. At this moment, the fire dimmed and completely extinguished. The smoke rose and darkness shrouded the temple once more. Wang Lin leaned against the pillar and was about to sleep while the middle-aged man snored. Just as he was about to close his eyes suddenly widened and he turned to look at the middle-aged man. Now that the temple was dark, there was a faint golden light coming from the middle-aged man. This light came from his wrist, where there was a faint palm print. It was as if an invisible hand had grabbed the madman's right wrist and left this print. Looking at the palm print, a very familiar feeling appeared in Wang Lin's heart. He was startled for a long time and then looked at his own hand. However, the palm print was blurry, so it was impossible to make out. Wang Lin was startled for a long time and then shook his head. The rain fell all night and didn't stop until dawn. The fragrance of the earth permeated the world and drifted into the temple. One night, no dream. Wang Lin opened his eyes and stretched his body. Looking at the sky outside the temple, he stretched his stiff body. He looked at the middle-aged man, who was still snoring. The middle-aged man's right arm had returned to normal. The golden palm print could no longer be seen. Hiding the doubt in the bottom of his heart, Wang Lin packed his clothes and changed into a clean outfit. He then pushed the middle-aged man a few times. Seeing the middle-aged man wake up, he clasped his hands and smiled. Our meeting last night can considered fate. My name is Wang Lin. I still have to take the imperial exam if we can. As Wang Lin was speaking, he stopped. The madman had his head lowered and looked crestfallen. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin kept 1 day of dried food and took out the rest. He placed it before the madman and whispered, I need to go, you can definitely find that person, definitely. Somehow he felt reluctant. He looked at the middle-aged man before letting out a sigh and heading out of the temple. However, before he walked out of the door, he heard the madman cry, They all left me. He left and you left. No one cares about me. Wang Lin's footsteps stopped and he looked at the sky outside. After a moment, he turned around and looked at the crying middle-aged man inside the temple. He softly said, I'm missing a book, boy. You're a bit old, but it should be no problem. At this moment, Wang Lin didn't know that what he had said was like a reincarnation cycle. Back when he first saw the madman, he faintly felt like he had seen him before. It was back in the human trial in the fallen land, where he saw another version of himself and the housekeeper-like book boy. That person held the wine and was constantly worried about the money for the wine. Kinda like a servant. Like there are a lot of different servant types where the title is just the related subject plus boy. They help the person with the related subject and is also their student in a way, as they get knowledge of the subject in return. At this time, there were a lot of scholars from villages, towns, and cities all over the country of Zhao heading to the capital for the imperial exam. They were alone, like Wang Lin, or in groups 3 to 5, heading to the 49 province capitals. Only after passing this exam could they head to the city of Su to take the second exam. The city of Su had become famous due to one person. His name was Su Dao, the country of Zhao's head scholar. His existence had caused the city of Su to become the capital of scholars in the country of Zhao. The person that stood out the most in the exam in the city of Su would become the chosen Su. All the chosen Sus would go to the capital of Zhao, where they would either soar into the sky or quietly leave. Wang Lin walked along the road, carrying the expectations from his parents and his own vision of the future. Behind him was the middle-aged man, now wearing new clothes. He had a bamboo backpack on his back, and he hummed a song he had heard in some unknown place. He looked very relaxed. The sky was gray, but there was no rain. However, the trace of water on the official road gave off a chilly aura. The soil and water seemed to fuse together, making the path very muddy. Originally, it would only take a bit over half a day to reach the city, but Wang Lin and the middle-aged man didn't see the city until dusk. The sunset released bursts of orange light that pierced through the clouds and landed on the city. At a glance, it gave off the sense of a road leading to the end. Finally here. Wang Lin let out a big breath and wiped away the sweat on his forehead. Along the way, he had experienced a lot of things. Thinking back, even he found it very strange. Big fortune, the city is ahead of us. We are going to stay there for a while. Wang Lin smiled and looked at the book boy behind him. I don't like that name. The middle-aged man shook his head with a bitter expression. I think it's very good, that name is good. Wang Lin laughed and led Big Fortune to the city gate. After taking out the token he got from the village, they were examined by the soldiers and allowed inside. Although it was dusk, the city was still lively. There were many people on the street. They were scholars that had come from all over for the exam. Wang Lin arrived a bit late, so he and Big Fortune didn't find any open rooms even after checking 4 or 5 inns. Seeing the sky become darker and darker, Wang Lin became anxious. Luckily, the last inn had one empty room. Although the price was a bit high, thunder started rumbling across the sky. The rain that had stopped showed signs of appearing once more. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and had Big Fortune take out the silver. Big Fortune took out the silver he had been holding for Wang Lin. His heart ached as he took out a bit and unwillingly handed it over while muttering to himself, "Not much silver. Arctic. I seem to have experienced something before, and know that silver is very important." As he muttered, the waiter looked at Wang Lin and the middle-aged man with scorn. He lazily led them to the guest room. He had seen many scholars like Wang Lin. Some were generous and others were very poor like Wang Lin. Wang Lin had a simple personality. Although he had noticed the waiter's expression, he didn't take it to heart. The room wasn't big, but it was suitable for 2 people. However, a musty smell wafted out of the room when the door was opened, causing Wang Lin to frown. This kind of smell was unavoidable in this season unless it was a very good inn. After eating some simple food, Wang Lin lied on the bed with his cloth and looked at the oil lamp on the table. He could hear Big Fortune's loud snoring. The bedding gave off a sense of moisture, and it was very uncomfortable to lie in. After tossing around for a long time, Wang Lin still couldn't sleep, so he got up with a sigh. Big Fortune continued to snore as Wang Lin sat down at the table. He took out a book and began reading using the lamp on the table. As he read, thunder rumbled in the sky and lightning flashed. This thunder was very intense. This thunder didn't dissipate but lasted for a long time. The continuous rumbles awakened many people in the city. The wind blew even more strongly, making it seem as if the sky above the city was torn open. Endless wind howled and swept the earth. Large amounts of muddy sand were blown into the air and rain continued to hit the window of every home. Popping sounds came from the window in Wang Lin's room, as if the wind was going to break through. Wang Lin wasn't able to focus on reading. He frowned and raised his head. Just at this moment, the window was suddenly violently pushed open by the wind. The 2 shutters started to hit the frame around them. The gusts of wind also brought in water through the window. The fire on the table was extinguished and the room went dark. Wang Lin's hair was blown by the wind and even his clothes fluttered violently. As the rain and wind invaded the room, even the book in Wang Lin's hand was almost blown away. Wang Lin exclaimed and quickly got up. He faced the wind and walked up to the window to close it. Just as he got close, thunderous rumbles echoed. It seemed like this violent sound was coming from the window, which shook Wang Lin's mind. Just at this moment, a bolt of lightning flashed before Wang Lin. A bright light flashed, shrouding the sleeping city. At this moment, Wang Lin saw a small portion of the city in the dark night. When he saw this, he was startled. He saw the white bird that he had seen in his dream on the way here. The white bird circled amidst the wind and thunder. It seemed to notice Wang Lin's gaze. The white bird looked at Wang Lin. At this moment their gazes met. The thunder became even more intense and lightning flashed non-stop. As the sky flickered with the light from the lightning, Wang Lin's mind rumbled. He remained still, feeling as if some thoughts were slowly gathering in his mind. These thoughts eventually turned into a blurry voice. That voice was filled with confusion and sounded ancient. It echoed inside Wang Lin's mind. Karma. What is karma? Karma, what is it? Wind blew into the window and continued to hit Wang Lin's body. He stood in front of the window and allowed the wind to hit him, the rain to fall, the thunder to rumble, the lightning to flash. In his eyes, everything in the world beside that white bird had disappeared. The bird flapped its wings and turned into a ray of light that charged toward Wang Lin. It closed in an instant and landed on the window. It closed its wings and silently looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked at it for a long time. Wang Lin murmured, "Is it you talking to me? Karma, what is it?" Confusion appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The bird looked profoundly at Wang Lin before it flew off the window. It circled a few times in the sky before letting out a cry and disappearing into the dark clouds. Although it had left, the thunder in the sky continued to rumble. As the rumbles became even more intense, they seemed to disturb Wang Lin's thoughts. He subconsciously frowned and pointed outside with his finger. With this, there was flash of thunder in his right eye. As the mark flashed, the thunder in the sky stopped. It was as if there was a will beyond the thunder that caused it to retreat. It was as if this will was the king of thunder and could control endless thunder. If it wanted the thunder to retreat, the thunder had to retreat. Even the endless lightning seemed to have extinguished with this point of his finger. Even wind collapsed before this finger and was pushed back. Along with it went the rain. The rain seemed to have a spirit, and it was terrified. In the blink of an eye, the rain stopped. What stopped was only the rain above the city. Under the pressure, the will that was like the king of thunder, all the rain in the country of Zhao seemed to stop. The thunder collapsed, the lightning shattered, and the dark clouds dissipated. There were cultivators flying in the sky of Zhao, including Wang Zhua, Su Fei, Zhou Rui, and company. They had been flying in the rain, but they were all shocked and terrified at this moment. Before him was an old man. The old man looked back and endless shock filled his eyes. This aura! My God, what kind of cultivation level is this? In the other side of Zhao, two rays of light appeared when the dark clouds collapsed, revealing a man and a woman. The woman was Lu Mei. Her face was pale and she looked back with confusion in her eyes. The expression of the man next to her changed greatly and he almost exclaimed out loud. Also in the country of Zhao, in the city of Tung, the Tung family nascent soul-old monster, Teng Huion, was cultivating. At this moment, he opened his eyes upon feeling something frightening. At the peak of the Hongyu sect, there was an old man in a yellow robe looking at the sky and frowning. He was Huang Long, but at this moment, his expression was very serious. His hand continued to form seals until it trembled and blood flowed out from his nails. His eyes revealed a strange color, as if he didn't dare to believe it. How is this possible? In a place far away on planet Suzaku, there was a strong sect. This sect was strong enough to sweep across all rank 5 countries. This sect was filled with souls, and the howling of ghosts echoed. From a distance, it looked like a giant flag. There was a person sitting in the sky filled with souls. He was a middle-aged man, and he was Dun Tion's senior brother. I can't find it. This old man has divinated 37 times and hasn't succeeded once. Could it be that my soul refining sect really has no hope left? Could it be that my soul refining sect has no chance of rising again, no chance of continuing on? The middle-aged man seemed to go crazy and began to laugh. However, just at this moment, his expression changed and he looked into the distance. His eyes narrowed and his hands formed a seal. He began divinating like crazy. The man's expression changed rapidly. He consumed large amounts of life force and divinated 9 times, but the result of all 9 times were the same. This was an unbelievable and even absurd result to him. While pondering, his body flickered and he disappeared without a trace. He used teleportation and charged toward the country of Zhao. In a city inside Zhao, the world had become peaceful. In the second floor of an inn, Wang Lin stood before the window and his murmurs echoed. Karma, what is karma? The night slowly passed. Wang Lin unknowingly returned to the table and stared at the extinguished candlestick in a daze. That voice continued to echo in his mind until it replaced everything. He had forgotten to close the window. There was no wind or rain anymore. The sun rose into the sky and light shined on the earth. The people that got up were surprised to find that the dark clouds that had shrouded them for over half a month had all disappeared. The bright sky had no cloud as far as the eye could see. The sunlight gently shined on their bodies and gave people vitality once more. It seemed the summer had come a bit early this year. It seemed the rainy season had left a bit early this year. Big Fortune also awakened. He rubbed his eyes and looked at the sky outside the window. He immediately smiled, pointed out the window proudly, and began to roar. I had a dream last night. With a point of my finger the thunder stopped. Aha, look how powerful I am. Humph humph, it seems I'm indeed not ordinary. It is a pity. Wang Lin's thoughts became hidden in his mind when the sun appeared. He hadn't slept all night, but he didn't feel tired. However, a swelling pain came from between his eyebrows. He rubbed his brow and looked at Big Fortune. After seeing the smile on Big Fortune, he felt happy as well. You're powerful. It was your dream that caused the thunderstorm to disappear. Okay. Big Fortune became excited and felt even more proud. Time quickly passed. The county imperial exam would be held in 5 days. All the scholars that had come to take the exam waited for these 5 days to pass. On the morning of the 6th day, the sky was still sunny and all the scholars rushed out from the various inns toward the different exam grounds. During these 5 days, Wang Lin had gone to the office to submit his entry and find his exam location. Other than that, he didn't leave his inn at all. He spent all his time reading. He was very nervous because if he passed he could continue, but if he failed he would have to start from the beginning. He would have to return to the village and silently wait for a few years before another test began. Wang Lin didn't want to fail. He couldn't bear to see his parents' disheartened expressions. He didn't want his failure to cause his relatives to give his parents those fake comforting gazes that were in actually mocking them. Big Fortune was suffocated during these 5 days. He was very active and had gone out by himself while Wang Lin was studying. He wandered the city and gradually met some people. He managed to learn to be even more stingy. On the 6th day, Wang Lin bathed and burned some incense. He then changed into a white scholar robe and let out a sigh of relief. He put on the bamboo backpack and walked toward the exam ground. He was going to the 3rd exam ground that was on the west side of the city. The street was very lively and stalls filled both sides of the road. The stalls had been set out early so the students taking the exam could buy food. At a glance, there were many scholars rushing toward the exam locations. They were in a rush, worried, or very nervous. Even when eating, they would often devour the food in a few bites and quickly leave. Wang Lin took a few deep breaths and slowly calmed himself. After eating a few buns, he arrived outside the exam area with Big Fortune. There were many people here, but there was no noise. Most people had their eyes closed, recalling what they had read. 2 officials wearing robes coldly looked at the scholars. Because of them, there was a dignified atmosphere here. Wang Lin calmly stood there as he looked at the exam area, and he gradually calmed down. Big Fortune looked around a lot, but the more he looked, the more gloomy he became. He saw that the other book boys were all a lot younger than him. In comparison, he was out of place. After muttering a few words, Big Fortune took out some buns and took some big bites. Shortly after, the exam arrived. A bell chime seemed to come from the distance and echoed across the entire city. It was a heavy sound. The moment the bell rang, all the scholars opened their eyes and their expressions turned serious. The tension instantly reappeared. One of the officials rolled his eyes and slowly said, "Enter the exam room. If anyone has notes, get rid of them yourself. Don't be found later and get disqualified." After the scholar entered the exam room, everyone was searched. After making sure there were no notes, they were allowed in. When it was Wang Lin's turn, it was the same. After examining his bamboo backpack, they allowed him to enter. Big Fortune waved his hands at Wang Lin and began to roar. Even though the surrounding people frowned at him and looked at him with disdain, he didn't care. Wang Lin smiled and waved at Big Fortune outside before heading in. After finding the seat with his name, Wang Lin calmly sat down and paid attention to the inspector of the exam. Once all the scholars sat down, they turned over their exams and became focused. Only when the inspector took out the sealed exam paper did the sounds of writing start to echo across the room. Wang Lin calmly grinded ink and looked at the blank paper before him. He didn't write for a long time. The exam would last for a whole day, giving people plenty of time to think. The people that were meditating like Wang Lin had collected their thoughts and began to write. Soon, Wang Lin was the only one who was still pondering. The subject of this test was a painting. The painting was very simple. There was a mountain with a single tree on top. There seemed to be wind causing the tree to shake. There were a few sketches under the mountain. It seemed like there was a family guarding the mountain. The intent of this painting was very clear. It basically meant that ability was the pillar. All the other scholars knew this, and the essays they wrote all revolved around this. However, when Wang Lin saw the painting, the voice from 5 days ago appeared once more. Karma. What is it? Karma. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, it was noon. Some people were already finished writing. They held up their papers and blew on them to dry the rest of the ink. Their faces were filled with joy as they shook their heads and began to meditate. Only Wang Lin was still silently sitting there with confusion in his eyes and still hadn't written anything. This kind of thing was rare, and the inspectors couldn't help but pay more attention to Wang Lin. People gradually began to leave the exam ground. Some were proud and some looked crestfallen. They either left alone or with their book boys. The sun began to set and the exam room became dark. There wasn't much time left, only half an hour. The last scholar aside from Wang Lin got up with a sigh. He looked at Wang Lin and shook his head before leaving. If you can't do it, then leave quickly. Don't waste our time. An inspector frowned as he walked next to Wang Lin and knocked on the table. Wang Lin didn't look up but closed his eyes. A few moments later, he opened his eyes and added some water to his ink. His eyes shined brightly and he began to quickly write on the paper. What is karma? I seek a wooden house, but this mountain has no wood, so I plant this lone tree. During sunrise, I harvest the branches. During midday, I harvest the wood. And during sunset, I harvest the roots. Wang Lin seemed to have forgotten what was going on in his surroundings as the ancient voice echoed around him. The painting filled his mind as he wrote down his thoughts and questions. The inspector standing beside Wang Lin looked at this paper and was startled before taking a closer look. Soon more inspectors were attracted and came to look. Some scoffed at a glance and left. Soon the remaining inspectors all shook their heads and walked away. What is karma? Planting the tree is karmic cause and harvesting the wood is karmic effect. The day the house took form, it also became a karmic cycle. Wang Lin put down his pen and looked at it deeply. The brightness in his eyes dissipated and was replaced with confusion. He sighed as he clasped his hands at the last elderly inspector. He then cleaned up his stuff and left the exam area. After he left, the old inspector picked up Wang Lin's paper and carefully read it again. He seemed to enter a trance and gain some enlightenment. He remembered Wang Lin's name on the paper. This kind of insight into karma came from a teenager? This person might not become a pillar of the courts, but he will become great scholar. The old inspector pondered for a long time before circling Wang Lin's name. Wang Lin walked out of the exam area. He spotted Big Fortune, who had been waiting all day and had fallen asleep leaning against a tree. He smiled and was about to wake him up when the world suddenly darkened. There seemed to be a ghostly howl, and the darkness shrouded Wang Lin and Big Fortune. It seemed to separate them from the rest of the city. A middle-aged man wearing a black robe walked out of the black wind. A cold aura filled his body as he looked at Wang Lin. This old man won't hurt you. You only have to answer one question. He was the soul refining sect's Dun Tian's senior brother. Almost all the scholars in this country had been found by him, and he had asked them the same question. Then he erased their memories in disappointment and searched for the next person. Back when Wang Lin unconsciously blasted away the storm, Dun Tian's senior brother felt something. He then spent a large amount of life force to divinate 9 times. He was going to find the future of the soul refining sect. He was going to find the soul refining sect a path to survival. The 9 divinations all gave him an extremely absurd conclusion. He didn't believe it at first, but after coming to the same result 9 times, he had to believe it. All the divinations pointed to the country of Zhao. They pointed toward a specific country and a scholar inside that county. As a result, he came with his expectations high along with a feeling of absurdity. After arriving in this country, he spent a few days questioning almost every single scholar, but he didn't get a satisfactory answer. Those scholars were only mortals. How could they answer this question? With the middle-aged man's cultivation level, forget the country of Zhao. He was considered extremely powerful across the entire planet. Soul transformation, just one step from ascendant. The middle-aged man rolled up his sleeves and the black wind roared. Endless ghosts roared inside, surrounding Wang Lin and Big Fortune. This caused this area to separate from the world and become blurry. Big Fortunate was still sleeping. His snores echoed and seemed to be out of place. Wang Lin turned around and looked at the man that had walked out from the dark world. This person was an immortal. Wang Lin understood this, but he wasn't afraid at all. He could see that while the middle-aged man seemed powerful, he was in fact extremely weak. Wang Lin didn't understand why. It seemed that ever since that voice had appeared in his mind during that rainy night, a strange change had happened to his body. This change was an inexplicable feeling, and it became even more apparent just after he finished writing the answer to the test. He calmly looked at the middle-aged man that walked over and slowly said, "Speak." The middle-aged man was surprised. He stood several feet from Wang Lin and carefully looked at Wang Lin. In his eyes, Wang Lin was very ordinary, a true mortal and not a cultivator. However, Wang Lin's calm expression allowed the middle-aged man to see something extraordinary. All the scholars he had encountered had crumbled before him. The fear and terror they felt required him to use a spell to soothe them before they could speak. Wang Lin was the first person he had met that was so calm. This couldn't even be described as calm. From what the middle-aged man saw, Wang Lin seemed to not care about his presence at all. It was as if Wang Lin didn't think of him as an immortal but as a mortal. It has to be said that with his cultivation level, even mortal emperors would have to tremble in fear and treat him like an ancestor. The invisible pressure around him wasn't something a mortal could resist. Even cultivators would be suppressed with fear. This middle-aged man had only encountered something like this twice in his life. Both of the mortals that he met that were this calm were the greatest scholars on planet Suzaku. These great scholars had comprehended the heavens and could see through the world. They had powerful auras and were not afraid of ghosts or the supernatural. Although even a chi condensation cultivator could kill them, the higher one's cultivation level, the more they would feel an aura similar to that of a cultivator within the scholars. If someone like this were to cultivate, they would be a natural. Wang Lin was the third person that gave him this feeling. After pondering for a bit, the middle-aged man clasped his hands at Wang Lin. This old man is Soul Refining Sect Master, Nian Tian. One line to read the heavens. The word Nian covers everything. Good name. Wang Lin smiled and clasped his hands at the middle-aged man. The aura of a great scholar became even stronger on his body. The howling ghosts slowly retreated as if they were afraid to get close. Even the howling weakened until it disappeared completely. This shocked the middle-aged man. He took a deep breath and hope appeared in his eyes. He faintly felt that he would find his answer from his person. It was likely that his 9 divinations all pointed to this person. This old man wants to ask if my soul refining sect has a path to survival. I hope you can resolve this old man's 100-year question. Nian Tian looked sincere and clasped his hands at Wang Lin again. The inheritance of his sect was very important, and asking a mortal was very strange. Even Nian Tian himself thought it was absurd, but with 9 divinations coming to the same result, he had to believe it. Luckily, Wang Lin's extraordinary calmness allowed him to see hope as he waited for Wang Lin's answer. After hearing this question, Wang Lin was startled and silently pondered. I can't answer it. After a long time, Wang Lin shook his head. He had no idea what the soul refining sect was. He could only roughly guess that it was an immortal sect. The middle-aged man didn't speak and revealed a bitter expression. He shook his head and let out a sigh. He looked at the sky and felt that his behavior was really unreasonable. He was asking this mortal about the fate of his sect. This old man has disturbed you. You are a great scholar, so this old man won't erase your memory. Ah! The old man revealed a wry smile. He waved his sleeves and turned to leave. His figure gave off a sense of depression and confusion as he walked away. Wang Lin looked at the bleak figure. He could faintly feel an invisible mountain weighing on this person. Under the weight of the mountain, this middle-aged man looked even more miserable. Wang Lin thought about his dreams. He remembered the voice that echoed in his mind and calmly said, "Take me to see the soul-refining sect." The middle-aged man that was about to leave stopped and turned to look at Wang Lin. After a long time he nodded and pointed at Wang Lin. The black wind gathered from all directions around Wang Lin. Then the middle-aged man stepped into the sky and disappeared along with Wang Lin. In the county, no one noticed the spell that was used outside the test area. No mortal could even see the black wind that had appeared. Under the tree, Big Fortune was still snoring. He muttered a bit before continuing his sleep. Planet Suzaku, in the sky above the soul-refining sect, Wang Lin appeared with a pale expression, but he was extremely calm. The black wind surrounded him and allowed him to stand firm. Beside him was Nian Tian. "This is my soul-refining sect." Nian Tian pointed at the land below and a rumble echoed. The black fog covering the sect scattered and the entire soul-refining sect entered Wang Lin's eyes. Wang Lin looked at the soul-refining sect beside him, and a familiar feeling appeared from the bottom of his heart. He felt like he had been here before in his dreams, but when he thought about it carefully, he couldn't think of anything. A moment later, Wang Lin softly said, "I want to go walk around." "Good." Nian Tian didn't hesitate. He controlled the wind for Wang Lin, leading him to the soul-refining sect. There were many cultivators in the sect, and the opening of the sect attracted their attention. When they walked out, they immediately saw Wang Lin and Nian Tian. "Greetings, sect master." Voices echoed. The cultivators of the soul-refining sect all had strange expressions. They could all see that Wang Lin was immortal, but they didn't know why the sect master would bring Wang Lin here. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion as he walked through the soul-refining sect. He felt that this place was very familiar, and he even knew ahead of time the dangers that were here. The more he walked, the stronger this feeling became. Under a mountain peak, Wang Lin stopped. There were many caves in this mountain, and they could be seen from below. The familiar feeling became even stronger. It was as if he had lived here at some unknown time. Nian Tian still followed Wang Lin and accompanied him as he walked through the soul-refining sect. His eyes revealed a mysterious light as he looked at Wang Lin. Most of the day slowly passed, and Wang Lin finally arrived next to the main mountain in the soul-refining sect. Looking at the main mountain, it was surrounded by black fog rings that led into the sky. It was a majestic sight. At this moment the sky dimmed. Wang Lin looked at the main peak. Although the familiar feeling was there, it was missing something. After a long time, he shook his head and was about to speak. A roar came from the main mountain and a figure appeared in the fog at the peak. It stepped toward Wang Lin and Nian Tian. "Senior brother, this person is?" As the ancient voice echoed, the black shadow closed in. He was also a middle-aged man, and his gaze swept across Wang Lin. "Dun Tian, this person is a scholar that I invited here. You are in the middle of fusing with the flag, don't be distracted. Quickly go back into closed-door cultivation." There was a complex emotion in Nian Tian's eyes as he spoke. Dun Tian smiled. Wang Lin was only a mortal in his eyes. Although he had taken a glance, he didn't bother remembering Wang Lin. He turned around and disappeared. Although he was like this when Wang Lin saw Dun Tian, his mind rumbled as if he had thought of something. Looking at Dun Tian's retreating figure, 2 lines of tears started flowing down from the corners of his eyes for some reason. Just at this moment, a white bird flew across the soul-refining sect. It passed by while letting out a series of cries. "Hundreds of years from now, on the day you die, a man will come here. He will be the path to survival for your soul-refining sect." Wang Lin murmured as he looked at Dun Tian's back, and even more tears appeared. Nian Tian trembled. He looked at Wang Lin for a long time and clasped his hands. He didn't believe this completely, but he remembered it in his heart. He didn't tell Dun Tian this. It wouldn't until hundreds of years from now, when he was dying, that the words of that unforgettable scholar would appear in his mind. On his deathbed, he recalled the words of the no-name scholar from hundreds of years ago. Those words seemed to fill his mind until the moment his life ended, and he became one of the primary souls of the soul flag. His divine sense spread out for the last time at the end of his life and spread across the soul-refining sect. He saw a man who had fled from a faraway place and mixed in among the soul-refining sect disciples. A very ordinary-looking person. When he saw that moment, Nian Tian's divine sense trembled like never before. He was shocked to find that this person was the scholar he had questioned hundreds of years ago. With confusion and an unimaginable speculation, his divine sense dissipated. His soul became part of the soul flag. Wang Lin was sent back to the city in Zhao and stood next to the tree outside the test area. Big Fortune was still sleeping there. Everything that had happened felt like a dream. Karma. I understand a little. Wang Lin looked at the sky and saw the white bird again. The white bird circled in the sky before slowly disappearing into the clouds. After waking up Big Fortune, the two returned to the inn. The moonlight fell from the sky and stretched out their shadows. The ranking was going to be placed a few days after the test. All the scholars anxiously waited for that day to come. Those who entered the ranking would have a chance of going to the next test. This chance was to go to the city of Su to participate in the exam there, and have a chance to fly to the heavens. Once they obtained the title of Chosen Su, they would have a chance to go to the capital of Zhao for their last struggle. If they were talented enough to obtain the appreciation of head scholar Su, they would instantly become famous. If they could become Su Dao's disciple, the glory they could obtain would be unimaginable. This was the desire of almost all the scholars in Zhao. Less than 50 people in the entire county would have the chance to go to the city of Su. Although Wang Lin's name was not on the top of the list, he was among these 50 people. When Wang Lin saw his own name, he didn't feel excited. He calmly looked at the ranking and left with the excited and proud Big Fortune. He went to the city hall to confirm his identity and obtain the certification for the next exam and the silver reward issued by the imperial court. What caused Big Fortune to become excited was not that Wang Lin had gotten on the ranking but the silver. His experiences during this short month had unknowingly changed Wang Lin, or one could say that he should have always been like this. Those dreams still existed every night, and he had grown used to them. His mentality had changed. He no longer felt lost. He no longer felt confused or worried about the failing the exam. What would be obtained would still be obtained, and what would be lost would still be lost. Nothing was worth anything, only the heart remained the same. The heart was as calm as the water in the well. It was like looking at a mountain as a mountain, then seeing a mountain not as a mountain, and then seeing a mountain as a mountain again. In this short period of time, not even he realized how much he had changed. The aura of a great scholar gradually grew on his body. Among the countless scholars, his straight back and calm eyes stood out like a pearl. Like cultivators that coldly look down at their fellow cultivators. Life is like a dream. I'm not willing to wake up from this dream. There were many scholars celebrating and even more feeling depressed when Wang Lin left the city with Big Fortune. Just like how he came, he calmly left. Big Fortune followed Wang Lin and continued to calculate their silver. He would sometimes mutter and reveal an expression of heartache. At the gate of the city, Wang Lin stopped and his gaze fell on a wine stand not far away. Big Fortune, go buy wine. He suddenly wanted to drink even though he had gotten seriously drunk after just 2 cups before. There is very little silver and you want to drink wine? Big Fortune rolled his eyes as he grabbed the cloth around his chest and shook his head. What does this silver count as? Thousands of gold coins can be scattered, and they will always come back. Quickly, go buy wine. Wang Lin smiled and pushed Big Fortune. Big Fortune struggled and let out a long sigh. He arrived next to the wine stand unwillingly and began to bargain in a way that made Wang Lin gobsmacked. He even played dirty, and in the end the liquor vendor smiled wryly and sold Big Fortune 2 jugs of wine at a very low price. Despite this, Big Fortune still felt so much heartache when he took out the silver that his face became twisted and he started to mutter. Mine, it was mine. Wang Lin laughed and took the wine jug. He took a big gulp and allowed the wine to flow down the corner of his mouth. Big Fortune quickly followed with a bitter expression. At this moment it was noon. The two walked further and further away. The lonely and sad aura around Wang Lin dissipated greatly. Instead, it was replaced with relief. Young lord, where are we going? Big Fortune's voice echoed from the distance. The city of Su. I heard the osmanthus wine there is pretty god. I need to wait for a person there. Wang Lin took another sip of wine. He untied his hair and let it scatter behind him as he laughed. The city of Su was 250 kilometers south of the capital of Zhao. This city was very long and had a few rivers going through it. The city of Su was a river city. The city of Su was famous because of Su Dao. The city of Su was also a gathering place of talents, and where there were talents, there would be no lack of beauties. There were always boats traversing these rivers. Dancing and singing would happen day and night, making it very lively. Poetry, beautiful dances, and zither music filled the entire city of Su. All the wine stalls that sold osmanthus wine were as famous as the scholars. It was said that the officials in the capital would send people to buy the osmanthus wine from the city of Su. The head scholar, Su Dao, loved this wine in his earlier years and often drank it while comprehending the world. When he became famous, the osmanthus wine became even more famous. The 2-month journey passed by in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin and Big Fortune were sitting inside a humble carriage on the way to the city of Su. Wang Lin drank wine he had bought along the way and looked outside. Sometimes his laughter after getting drunk would echo. "Young lord, don't drink anymore. The amount of wine you drink is frightening. It's only been 2 months, 2 months. See how much wine you already drank? Almost all the silver has been used by your drinking." Big Fortune cried out, voicing his extreme heartache. "If you keep drinking, even if we reach the city of Su, we won't have any silver to stay at an inn. Who told you to drink? Who told you to drink so much?" Big Fortune's chatter became more and more frequent in these 2 months. However, not only did he not make Wang Lin feel annoyed, but Wang Lin felt a sense of familiarity with him. "No harm, you are the book boy and housekeeper. If there is no more silver left, you can just go earn some." Wang Lin laughed as he joked with Big Fortune. He drank wine and looked at Big Fortune, who had a bitter expression. As Big Fortune continued to chatter, dusk arrived and the sunset gave off a red glow. It wasn't glaring and the light was extremely gentle. As the carriage wobbled, they closed in on the city of Su. The city of Su was very big and looked like a mighty city. However, this was only the outer appearance. Inside, it was filled with winding rivers and gave off a feeling of elegance. After paying the fare for the carriage, Big Fortune looked at the little remaining money in his hand and nearly cried. Most of the money they had spent on the road was for wine that entered Wang Lin's stomach. Wang Lin's tolerance for alcohol had unknowingly increased. He was no longer someone who would get drunk after just 2 cups. After getting off the carriage, Wang Lin fixed his clothes. He looked very elegant with his white robe and long hair scattered. As he held the wine jug in his hand, the scholarly aura around him had dissipated. It was replaced with a sense of freedom. As he walked on the streets of Su, he saw many people walking along the road. Students accounted for more than half, and there were also many beautiful women embellishing the city. Although Wang Lin's appearance was ordinary, his temperament was very special. As he walked down the street, he attracted a lot of attention. Many beautiful women directed their gazes at Wang Lin. Wang Lin remained calm and continued to walk forward. Big Fortune followed behind him. During these past 2 months, he constantly had a bitter expression. At this moment he was the same and continued to sigh. It was dusk in the city of Su, and the moonlight gradually appeared. As the boats floated along the river, the sound of music and leisure could be heard. Wang Lin stood on a bridge and looked at the boats on the river as the zither music filled his ears. "Young lord, who are we waiting for?" Big Fortune peeked at a few of the women dancing on a boat. He swallowed and his eyes shined. Wang Lin remained calm and muttered, "Waiting for a person from my dream. He will come and gift me a pot of wine. If he shows up, it will confirm one of my guesses." Big Fortune looked at the empty wine jug in Wang Lin's hand and said very carefully, "We are going to stand here waiting? Maybe we should find a cheap inn first." He was afraid Wang Lin would make him buy wine again. Wang Lin shook his head and revealed a smile that wasn't a smile. He looked at Big Fortune and said leisurely, "I remember that there was a lot of silver, especially after we got the silver from the exam. Is there?" "Forgot." Big Fortune blinked and revealed an awkward expression. "Take out the silver you hid and get some osmanthus wine and rent a boat. We will live here for a few days." Wang Lin waved his sleeve with a smile and no longer looked at Big Fortune. Wind blew by, causing ripples to echo across the river surface and landed on Wang Lin's body. This wind was soft and not cold. It carried a hint of warmth. Along with the wind came the sound of a zither playing. Wang Lin murmured, "Will you come? The world is an inn for all living things. Time is a guest of the ages. The difference between life and death is like being awakened from a dream. The city of Su left the season of recovery in June and entered the season when the flowers bloomed. The willow leaves that flew through the sky seemed to want to carry the passage of time with them. The willow leaves filled the sky like snow. It was a very beautiful scene. They looked like snow in the summer as they drifted across the sky. If the wind was even stronger, they would flutter more and look like they didn't have roots. While beautiful, they would also give off a hint of sadness. They seemed like wanderers that had no home. They could only move with the wind, not knowing where they would go. Perhaps they would land in the river and become part of the water, or fall on the ground and mix with the dust. They would then be swept away by the powerful wind. Their fate was the wind, and different winds gave them different lives. There was one wisp of willow that was white and covered in flowers gently fluttering in the air. It landed in the palm of a young man in white who was on a small boat. The young man was holding a wine jug in his left hand and drank a mouthful of wine as he recited a haughty poem. His voice wasn't loud, but it gave off a leisurely feeling, like he was going to pursue the end of the world. Behind the young man was a middle-aged man wearing the clothes of a book boy. He had a bitter expression, and every time the young man took a sip, the middle-aged man's heart would ache a bit more. One jug of osmanthus wine cost 7 silver pieces. Expensive, really too expensive. Drinking a mouthful is almost like swallowing half a piece of silver. The willow leaf that landed in the young man's hand stopped for a moment but didn't seem to reach its end point. It seemed to release a faint sigh as it flew off from the young man's hand. It fluttered into the distance with a hint of madness, as if it knew where it was destined to go and charged tirelessly toward its goal. There was a forest of peach blossoms on the river bank. As the willow leaves fluttered away, peach blossoms fell into the river, causing ripples to echo. The crazed willows dance with the wind. The light peach blossoms flow with the river. Wang Lin drank the wine in his hand and his laughter echoed. Aside from the boatman and these two people, there were 3 beautiful women on the boat as well. One was playing the zither and 2 were singing and dancing. The boat floated along the river, through the stone bridge, and leisurely into the distance. Big Fortune, bring out the wine. Wang Lin turned around and looked at the middle-aged man as he laughed. Big Fortune had a bitter expression and continued to sigh. He picked up a jug of wine and unwillingly handed it to Wang Lin. He began speaking as if he was about to cry. Young lord, there really isn't much silver left. We are renting this boat but also buying wine. These 3 little girls accompanying us cost a lot too. The daily cost is simply too high. How about we go ashore and find a cheap inn to save some money? What's the rush? The person I'm waiting for hasn't arrived. Wang Lin shook his head and smiled. He took the jug and drank as he sat down. He listened to the beautiful woman playing the strings on the zither. The sound of the zither was gentle and cheerful, but it couldn't enter Wang Lin's mind. Young lord, I have taken out all the silver I hid. Damn it, this old man counted. If we continue spending like this, we are going to end up as beggars in 7 days. It has been more than 1 month. Who the hell are you waiting for and why haven't they come? Big Fortune's heart ached as he bitterly complained to Wang Lin. As if he looked very funny, the woman that was taking a break from dancing laughed. Big Fortune's eyes widened and he stared at the woman. After muttering a bit, he picked up a jug of wine himself and took a big gulp. I need to drink more, this is good wine. 1 mouthful is half a silver. The zither music is still not right. Wang Lin leaned against the side of the boat and gently shook his head. After a long time he seemed to have drunk too much. He got up and walked next to the woman playing the zither. He placed his hand on the zither and the beautiful woman's face turned red as she withdrew her hands. I remember a song. I don't know the name but I heard it in my dream. It should be placed like this, Wang Lin said as he closed his eyes and his hand began playing the zither. At first it was very raw and the broken sound was not a song. However, as Wang Lin focused on playing, the song gradually became coherent. An unspeakable sadness came from the zither music and flew out in all directions. The 2 women resting on the boat went into a daze and looked at Wang Lin. The sorrow in the music was very light, but it could reach one's soul. When you heard it, you couldn't help but be startled. It was unknown how long ago Wang Lin had sat down before the zither and started to play. The woman that was playing the zither sat beside him. There was an unspeaking splendor shining in her beautiful eyes as she seemed to be lost in the zither music. Even Big Fortune was startled as he sat there. He drank mouthfuls of wine one after another. He forgot his heartache and began to stare at his right wrist. Li Muan had played this zither song, and a different song that contained the same charm came from the blind woman in the demon spirit land. At this moment, tears slowly flowed from Wang Lin's closed eyes. His tears landed on the zither. They seemed to fuse with the song and scattered with the music. He would have the dream every night. He saw a lot, but not everyone was clear. There were a few people that were still blurry. Although they were vague figures, that feeling of sorrow is very strong. Under this zither music, the boat drifted across the river and passed through many bridges until dusk arrived. Wang Lin waited for more than 1 month, but the person from his dream that should have appeared still hadn't shown up. As the boat floated under a stone bridge, 2 figures unknowingly appeared on the stone bridge and listened to the sad zither music. These 2 people were old men with white hair. One of them wore a green robe. Although he was just standing there, he stood straight like a pine tree. His expression gave off a sense of age and his eyes revealed wisdom. Even just standing there, he gave off the aura of a grand scholar. He was Su Dao. Su Dao revealed an emotional gaze as he looked at the boat floating away. He saw Wang Lin playing the zither and leisurely said, "What a sad song. Such a song is not something an ordinary person can play. The sorrow reveals sadness that could only appear after one has experienced countless years." The image of that sad figure still lingers in his heart. Su San, this old man didn't make this trip in vain. The old man behind Su Dao also let out a sigh. If Wang Lin saw this person, he would recognize him as the old man who watched him write his exam until the end. Student didn't expect him to be able to play the zither. When I saw his exam paper, I felt that this child was not ordinary. When I came to meet you, I saw this child on the boat, so I thought I would bring you here to see him, sir. The old man respectfully bowed. The boat went further away and the zither music gradually disappeared. At this moment, Su Dao smiled. He took a few steps down the bridge and shouted at the boat below. "Young man, tell this old man what you think karma is." Wang Lin's hand stopped and the zither music stopped. He opened his eyes and looked back with confusion. From his position, he could only see the old man and not the second old man on the other side of the bridge. At this moment, night arrived and the bright moon hung in the sky. In the night, the figure of the old man was a bit blurry, and even the bridge seemed to be hidden under the moonlight. Even Wang Lin's gaze seemed to become blurry. He looked at the old man at the bridge, and the surrounding haziness as he began to mutter, "Karma. It shouldn't be like this. If this was time reversing, if this was a reincarnation, if this was a dream, then I should have met the me in my dream. But why did I meet this old man? Why is it like this?" Wang Lin had waited for more than 1 month. He had waited for that scene that caused him to awaken in confusion and spend a day drinking wine. In that dream, he saw the other him in the dream appear on the bridge in the city of Su. However, instead of meeting his dream self, he met this old man. This can't be explained. I know about the soul refining sect. I can even vaguely guess that the person that will appear in the soul refining sect hundreds of years from now is the dream me. I have gained enlightenment in all of this, but didn't I see him here? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion. He didn't understand, even he himself became blurry. As Wang Lin remained in a state of confusion, the boat floated further and further away. When the old man saw that Wang Lin didn't answer, he smiled and shouted again, "Young man, tell this old man what you think karma is." "Karma. I'm karmic cause, I'm karmic effect." Wang Lin's voice slowly arrived and gradually disappeared with the boat. Su Dao smiled as he looked at the boat that disappeared. He turned back and looked at the student behind him. "What is his name?" Su San quickly said, "His name is Wang Lin. Give me his exam paper." There was a hint of joy in Su Dao's eyes. Su San smiled when he heard this. He then proceeded to take out the exam paper. He had come here just so he could let Su Dao see this extraordinary exam paper. However, after he came here, Su Dao wouldn't look at it until today. Holding Wang Lin's paper, Su Dao took a closer look and nodded. This young man will be the last student this old man will take. With a smile, Su Dao looked back at the boat. There was a willow leaf floating between him and the boat under the moonlight. It was impossible to know if Su Dao was looking at the willow or the boat. Time would fly by, and when you wanted to pursue it, there would be no trace of it. Several days later, Wang Lin left the boat with big fortune. He stood on the shore and looked at the boat he had lived on for more than a month and at the river where he waited for more than a month. He silently pondered for a very long time. It wasn't until half an hour later that Wang Lin shook his head and let out a sigh. He was about to turn and leave when a cry came from the sky. Wang Lin's body trembled and he looked up at the sky. He saw the familiar white bird circle in the sky. The bird gradually descended and landed on the bridge in the distance. It looked at Wang Lin before flying back into the clouds. Its white figure was like the willow flower. Wang Lin murmured, "Is it you?" Wang Lin didn't participate in the exam in the city of Su. The day he left the boat, he was invited to the house of the great scholar Su Dao. The person that invited him was the old man inspector. Su Dao's house wasn't large, but it was very elegant. It was quiet and gave one peace of mind. In the courtyard, Wang Lin saw the old man that had asked him the question on the bridge. Big Fortune had to wait outside in the courtyard while Wang Lin and Su Dao drank osmanthus wine as they began to chat in the courtyard. Only when the moon was high in the air did Wang Lin bow at Su Dao. "This old man has had many disciples in my life, but I only have 3 true students. From now on, you will be my last student. This old man doesn't want you to take the imperial exam, and your personality is not suited for that. This old man wants you to become the country of Zhao's grand scholar once I die." Not only the country of Zhao, there are many countries on planet Suzaku. This old man wants you to become the grand scholar of the entire planet. This is a life without riches and glory or monstrous power, but you will be able to comprehend the world and have your own thoughts. In this world, since there are mortals like us, there are naturally immortals. Many immortals have come to me, asking me to walk the path of Tao, but they were all rejected by me. This old man smiles and looks at the sky. I have my own ideals. I pursue no Tao, but I comprehend the truth of the world. Although my body is fragile, my mind can live forever and break open the cage. Although these immortals can kill us mortals with just a finger, they still have to lower their noble heads before the world's grand scholar. Immortals cultivate to defy the heavens, but us scholars comprehend the heavens. That is also defying the heavens. If the heavens have a spirit, then in its eyes the immortals are just mortals like us. They are mortals and we are mortals. The only difference is that they have the power to make the mountains crumble, and we have an understanding of the heavens. In the end, it all intersects. This teacher has taken in many students that are cultivators who came to teach her in hopes of reaching the soul formation stage. Some pursued even deeper into the meaning of Tao. This kind of life is ordinary but not ordinary. Wang Lin, are you willing to choose this path? At this moment, although Su Dao was merely an ordinary old man under the moonlight, Wang Lin could feel a mighty aura from him. This aura came from comprehending the truth of the world and having one's own thoughts. It was this that allowed Su Dao to stand at the top. That will was like a flame that burned inside Su Dao, and it was heaven-shaking. Scholar, Grand Scholar, and finally Lord Scholar. Su Dao had his hands behind his back as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin silently pondered, and after a long time, he knelt and bowed at Su Dao. At this moment, Wang Lin had just turned 19 and Su Dao was now 83. Su Dao smiled as he grabbed Wang Lin's hand and supported Wang Lin up from the ground. Their words echoed inside the courtyard. This old man entered the world as a boy and returned home middle-aged. I traveled all over Zhao and also went to many other countries. I saw mountains, I saw rivers, I saw life. At age 50, my wife died and this old man grieved before her grave. It was there that I gained enlightenment about the world. Every time I thought about life, I would remember the time that I knew her. After that, my thoughts turned to karma. What is this karma? Why does a karma cycle exist in this world? One night passed and Wang Lin's life changed on this night. He no longer pursued the imperial exam but pondered his own life's desires. Aside from being filial to his parents, he wanted to understand the world and pursue that voice in his mind. What is karma? What is life and death? What is true and false? He and Big Fortune lived inside Su Dao's mansion and listened to Su Dao's teachings every day. The aura of a great scholar became stronger and stronger inside his body. Several dozen people received the title of Chosen Su and went to the imperial capital after the exam. Some rose and some fell, but none of this could move Wang Lin anymore. He hadn't entered the exam, but Wang Lin's reputation had soared in the country of Zhao, surpassing those that had soared into the imperial capital. Although he hadn't left the Su mansion as time passed, people came to visit Su Dao, and Wang Lin was the one that came out to greet them. Wang Lin had seen a lot of people, whether it was mortal students, rich royalty, and even cultivators. He became even more calm. He started loving wine even more,